Oh, nice. Okay. So we are live. Let me just confirm that.
Oh, we are live. We are live. Actually, it starts streaming once I press it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. I still can't see it being
It,
live, so
it
I'm just
is.
checking
It is.
confirm.
We are online. We are online.
Yeah, maybe there's a lag of 15 seconds or so because I'm still
Yeah, it
not
has
able to
started.
check.
It has started.
Yes,
Actually,
it
yeah.
has started.
We are live.
Okay.
Actually, it
Okay.
starts.
So it has started. Yes. Good. Okay. So hi
Good.
everyone. Welcome to Sports Kathi. So this is a live edition to discuss about the Euro Cup that's coming. That's starting next. In this Friday. So we are
Uh-huh.
less than a week to the start of the Euro Cup. So, this is supposed to be called Euro 2020 and supposed to happen last year. But then due to the pandemic, it has got shifted by a year. So we are going to have it kicked off this year, but still will be called as Euro 2020. The one thing why we decided to start off or discuss this on a live session rather than a prepared session is because there are too much of information that is there in a football league because of 24 teams. So if we plan to go through each of the teams, the podcast length would be very very long. So we thought, one of the reasons is that so we thought we'll go it live so that we can cover at the same time, covering in depth. We really don't know what depth do we need to cover. So that's why we wanted to go live so people who can join in can ask questions and understand and interact, and maybe we can go in more depth if required. So it gives us a more flexibility on how much depth we want to go into each topic. So anyways, we have created a template here. We have a set of a pattern in which we will be proceeding. But at any point, we welcome your questions. And if you want to discuss any topic in further or any particular team, or maybe even players or promotions of certain teams from certain groups, all those we can discuss as per what how you interact and what questions you're asking. So that's pretty much the briefing about this. So Aisha, if you want to add something, and then we can start.
No, we can start. We can start. We'll start. I think you said everything. I'll start by sharing my screen. Uh, yeah. Let's start with the. So, welcome to Euro 2020. So, I do a preview for Group A, Group E, and Group F, and Group B, C, and D is done by Rohit. So, let's start with Group A. The Group A contains Turkey, Italy, Wales, and Switzerland. So, this I would say is a relatively one of the tougher groups. All teams are pretty much strong in this group. Let's look at the Italy squad over here. It's a slight bit of a time to open. Um, so you certainly have Donnarumma as their main keeper. Meri and Sirigu are good enough backups. There is Bastoni, Toloi, Acerbi, Bonucci, and Chiellini are the veteran centre backs. Then they certainly have Spinazzola at the left back. They have decent, midfields as well. And Marco Verratti has slight injury issues. He might come back uh, as quick as possible as well. And in the as far as the attack is concerned, they have Immobile who won the Golden Boot last time. So this is a a really a decent squad. If you look at Italy, they can actually do the whole thing. Looking at Switzerland squad, you certainly have Jan Sommer as the main keeper, and Manuel Akanji, Nico Elvedi, Fabian Schär, all decent centre backs. And I think the main player has to be Denis Zakaria, who did not have a good season, as well as Shaqiri and Granit Xhaka as a captain. Um, and in the attack, they certainly have Embolo, Seferovic, two different kind of attackers. Embolo a bit more pacey, and Seferovic a bit physical one as well. Uh, these are the two main teams in the squad. I'm just going to an overview of Italy's squad. Um, this could be their predicted lineup: Immobile at the front, and Donnarumma with the back containing Chiellini and Bonucci. De Lorenzo as the right back, Spinazzola as the left, and the midfield of Jorginho, Locatelli, Barella. This is more of a 4-3-3, but it will go to a 4-2-3-1 because Locatelli is a bit more defensive, while while Barella is a bit more offensive. And they will obviously play Barella at the right and Insigne at the left, and Immobile at the front, of course. And they also have Belotti to play at the front. And Chiesa is also a good backup at the right as well. And of course, Chiellini Bonucci will be at the centre back. That's one of the issues that they have. They are pretty old, and how long will they be fit? Bastoni is a very good backup. Acerbi has been good this season as well, uh, and it was expected that the youngsters like Rugani and Romagnoli might make it to the squad by this time, but yet it is still Chiellini and Bonucci around. As I said, Barella and Immobile are the important players. Barella has been too good this season for Inter Milan. He is the most important player for Italy right now, and I'm really eager to watch him. And one of the things that their coach Roberto Mancini has done, that Italy has been always traditionally a very defensive team. They play a very defensive kind of a game. But right now they are slightly transitioning towards a modern style of attacking play. They're players like Barella or Insigne really prefer that kind of an attacking game. And it's in a kind of they are in a kind of a mode where they're stuck between the two approaches, and sometimes they get stuck in between the two. I mean, half of the team wants to play one game and half of the team wants to play other game. That's one of the problems that Italy is facing, and that's one of the challenges for them as well. Finding the right balance between the attack and defense. And yeah, of course, there's veteran centre backs Chiellini and Bonucci. They have to be fit and healthy for the team to perform good as well. Um, Going to the Switzerland squad.
Like just one point on the Italian lineup. It's interesting
Yeah,
that when you did present the lineup, you didn't have Chiesa starting on the right wing. I was actually expecting Chiesa to start as right wing. So it might be an option. I don't know. I'm just thinking when I look at Italian team, maybe Chiesa might be an option at right wing. That's I think one of the options Italy has. I mean, Italy has a lot of backup. And one more other point about Italy, which I just want to add up, is that people just following up, Italy has a point to prove because they did miss out the 2018 qualification to the World Cup. So it was a big event. It's like a powerhouse of Europe, and they're missing out on 2018 World Cup. So they really want to prove a point. So I think this might be a place that they can show that that was just a blip. So that's pretty much what I want to add on to this. So I guess carry on.
yeah. I mean, I agree. Chiesa is an option on the right, but the fact is, Berardi has been very good for the national team, and he's experienced. He scored 17 goals this season for Sampdoria, and he has been starting pretty consistently for the national team. So Mancini likes him on the right, and that's one of the reasons why I still put Berardi, because Chiesa is decent. I mean, I would say very good shout. As well as for instead of Locatelli starting with Verratti, but Verratti has slight injury issues, and I think Mancini prefers to play Locatelli as well. So that those are the two things. There might be some changes in this. Also, you might also notice that the right back is Di Lorenzo and not their experience of Florenzi.
Yes, that's actually, that is another point which I was thinking. Florenzi on the right back for this.
Um, but Di Lorenzo has been playing really good, so he should be starting. That's my reply. I don't think there is any comments till now about the Italian team. So let's get to the Switzerland. A slight overview of the Switzerland team. So a probable lineup would be a 3-4-3, 3-4-1-2 rather, with Jan Sommer, Fabian Scher, and Elvedi and Akanji as backline. Mbabu as the right back, and Zuber as the left, and Zakaria and Shaka forming the midfield. Shakiri just playing behind the forwards, and Embolo Seferovic as the forwards. Uh, Now they last time they played till the round of 16, and one of the important information is they never won a knockout match in any major tournament since 1938 World Cup. They have been a good side, but they've always reached the knockouts and got out of it. So that's one of the big hurdle for their coach Vladimir Petkovic. I would say their key players would be Shaqiri. Shaqiri is a big tournament player, and he always plays. He always gets his A performance at the big moments. Bril Embolo is important. The man has been talked since last 4 years. Even in the last Euros, he has been talked about as a man who will perform for Switzerland, but he has not gone to that heights, and he has been slightly inconsistent and not clinical as well. So, will Embolo score goals for Switzerland is an important question, and Zakaria after the injury has not been the same Zakaria. So that's one of the key things for Switzerland. Their style of play is that they keep a Sommer and the defenders. They like to have the ball on the game. They build up the game from the back. They play a very attractive position-based football, and it's very beautiful to watch Switzerland, but they can also be slightly frustrating as well. And their weakness is right now. I would feel that Zakaria, Shaqiri, and Shaka, which is their backbone, their midfield, are have a relatively bad season compared to their previous ones. And Sommer is very error prone during the build up, and if there's a high press, it can happen that they might get punished. Sommer is one of the good keepers, but unfortunately, since he plays this high risky, build up from the back kind of a game, there are huge chances that he can make a few errors as well. And as you said, knockouts are their weakness. So they have to get past that hurdle if they want to go past. And I think they are expected to qualify for group stages. They are slightly better than Wales and Turkey. So as far as on paper expectation is concerned, Switzerland should finish second behind Italy. So the challenges is getting the midfield back to form and keeping the temperament during knockout stages, as I repeat. And I see there are no comments till now about Switzerland. If you want to say anything about Switzerland, please do write it. Let's get to Wales, the Gareth Bale team. Let me just look at the squad first before getting in. They have Hennessy as the keeper, as the backup keeper in Crystal Palace. They have Ampadu, Rodan Cabango as in the back. You might know Neco Williams from Liverpool. Matt Smith is a Manchester City player. Of course, Aaron Ramsey has played for Arsenal, has played for is playing for Juventus now. And United fans will obviously know Dan James, a pretty pacey winger. So if you look at Wales, they have Gareth Bale as well. It's a pretty pacey wings that they have with James and Gareth Bale and Brooks up front. I think they might play a 3-4-3. Ramsey and Allen in the midfield. Um, and one thing to remember is that in the last Euros 2016, they were in the semi-final. They beat Belgium in the quarter-final and they reached the semi-final. And that that was probably the best. This is probably the best era of Wales, I would say. And their coach Rob Page, who took over from Ryan Giggs a year ago, has really got the team going in the same way that Ryan Giggs was taking the team. Uh, they play very cautious approach. I mean, they have to. When most of the teams are better than you, they have to play very cautiously. But how they attack you, how they affect you is that they have a lot of pace in the wings and they can be very effective in transition. So the key players are certainly Gareth Bale and Ramsey, but they have lost a bit of a stardom. I mean, a few years back, if you say both Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey, they were in the top list. Aaron Ramsey was one of the top midfielders in Premier League. Gareth Bale was one of the top players in the world itself. And right now, I don't think anyone, if you say the top players in any position, these two players will be mentioned right now. Though they are still the main players that Wales have. So the problem is that Wales is in one of the relatively tough groups. All the matches will be very tough for them, and they also have to keep Gareth Bale fit, and they need that Gareth Bale contribution if they want to progress further in the competition. That is my take on Wales. I think the fans might have some view on Gareth Bale, or do you have anything to add to the Wales thing?
I don't see any comments on the group, but I just want to touch upon Bale part, because
Hmm.
Bale did not have an overall season that great. But to be fair, on the second half, he did score around 9 goals in the second half alone. So he did have a wonderful second half of the season. Again, that's given the number of minutes he played. He had a very good return for that amount of time he played. And apart from Bale, I just also want to touch upon, you mentioned about James, but another Premier League players would be knowing a place called Ben Davis, a very good. Possible he can start as a wing back, a left back, possibly depending on the formation they're going in. He's also an attacking or forward-thinking player, a pretty good defender. So there are some players. There is another famous player from Liverpool players will know is Joe Allen, who will play in the heart of the midfield. So he could be another player, who the Premier League would be used to. And another player who I think I want to just mention is because someone who will be important in the defense is Rodon. So a lot of Wales defend or how good they're going to defend will depend on how well Rodon can marshal the defense. So there are some good players, but as Vaishak told, I think they have the main players have already peaked and they're past the peak. So how they really can put up a fight would be good to see. And the group is they're not the best in the group. So if they can repeat what they did last time, then it's going to be amazing. Let's see. That's the best for Wales.
Okay, there's a slight question about
Uh,
Italy. Is Italy a big match tournament team by GBS? Yeah, I think what happens in the previous tournaments has been that Italy has never been seen as a team that has attracted football fans. Apart from the Catenaccio, yeah, Catenaccio system has been something not attractive per se, but it has got the attention of the football tacticians. But apart from that, Italy has never been a team which everyone would say, "Oh, I want Italy to win," or something like that. I want to see Italy play football. But Italy has always performed big in tournaments, and as you said, 2018 missing the World Cup is that was a big point in their in their recent history. As far as you can see, the 2014 as well, they did not get into the knockout stages. 2010 was also a bad point. So 3 bad years as far as World Cup is concerned. So they will be really desperate to get their revenge back in the World Cup as well. But you see in the Euros 2012 they were in the final, 2016 they were in the quarterfinals. So they have performed decently in the Euros, but it is the World Cups that they have been missing. Uh, and the current team. One of the important information that I missed about Italy is that they have not conceded a goal since October 2020. They played 4 or 5 matches after that. That is a big statistic, and they have not lost a match since September or something. That is a big stat. That shows the kind of form that Italians are playing, and the kind of game that Mancini is making the Italy play. So I certainly think Italy can do the whole, but they are also a team in transition. So it's almost possible that they do not get out of the group as well, because Wales, Switzerland, and Turkey, these are not going to be easy matches for Italy. They are not in the toughest group, but they are in a relatively tough group, I would say. And do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to mention about you did touch upon saying that Italy plays maybe not the most attractive football, but what I was reading on that is Mancini at in as manager now has actually starting to change the system, and they are playing at the higher back line. So maybe we will see a bit more flair in the team, and they do have players capable of doing that too. So and obviously we did touch upon when we're talking about Insigne, Immobile, and Kisa or whoever playing the right wing. So they have a bit of a good forward going team. So maybe we will see a more flair in the Italian team and more attractive football. Let's see what they're going to offer. But again, whether the question was whether they perform well on the big tournaments, it's been a mixed bag, as Vaishak clearly mentioned. In the World Cups, they were last 10 years, they have not done anything significant, even missed out the last World Cup. But in the Euros, they have been, I would say, even maybe slightly overachieving. So they have that mixed bag in front of them. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to come up with this season. And I believe in Mancini on what they've done, what he has done with City, what I've seen. So I think he's capable of doing a lot. And I don't think this will be a traditional what is high defensive football that's going to come from Italy. I am expecting a lot more flair from them. Let's see.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there was another comment about Gareth Bale being past his prime. That I completely agree. Gareth Bale is past his prime. But as Rohit said, he was decent in the second half. So let's see which Gareth Bale we see in the Euros. Let's get to Turkey. The Turkish squad. Turkey is still trying. Turkey has been experimenting a lot. They're still trying to find what kind of who should be playing for. They have some of the players that you might know is Soyuncu, Demiral, or Kabak has recently performed in the Premier League as well. These players, fans might be knowing them. They also might know Yokuslu because he's there in the West Brom team. If you watch the Premier League, follow Premier League a lot, you might know. But I think the best player is Hakan Çalhanoğlu in Milan. He has been absolutely exceptional this season, and I think he's a free agent right now. I don't know if he extended the contract or not. If I'm right, he's a free agent right now. Cengiz Unda is from Roma, came on loan to Leicester City. I didn't think he impressed much in the Premier League, but he's an important attacker for them. But there, I think the main attacking contribution will be from Yasici and Yilmaz, the Lille pair who won the French league fighting against Paris Saint-Germain, and they have been scoring goals for Turkey as well. Let me getting to an overview about the Turkish team. If I predict a lineup, they would be playing like a 4-1-4-1 with Shakir as the keeper, and the backline with Çelik, Demiral, Soyuncu, and Meras. Yokuslu will be their, the defensive midfielder, and Under at the right wing, Çalhanoğlu at the left, Yasici and Tufan playing right behind the striker, and Yilmaz being the main forward. This can also might become a 4-2-3-1 with Tufan, striking a slightly back as well, and Yazici also moving a bit forward. That as well. And another thing to mention over here is Turkey is a very defensive team. In the last Euros, they reached the group stages. Historically, the best years was in the Northeast. They reached the semi-final of 2002 World Cup. They reached the semi-final of 2008 Euros. And one of the important thing was Senol Gunes was their coach when they reached the semi-finals of World Cup 2002 to everyone's surprise. Uh, uh, so he is back. In the last 2 years, he has been back, and he has been a coach talked a lot about in Turkey, and the Turkish football has always been defensive. And Senol Gunes is someone who is really an expert in the Turkish football and also transitioning the Turkish football to the modern style attacking. So he's doing exactly what Roberto Mancini is doing in Italy. He's doing the Turkish thing of it. He's that attacking Turkish coach. Hakan Çalhanoğlu is a key player, as I already mentioned, and they are having a very solid defense. And one of the key points in that is they let only 3 goals in the qualifiers. So no team has played that defensive. And mind you, their qualifying group had France. So they had to play 2 games against France, and they have only conceded 3 goals. So they are not that, they may not be as good as Switzerland per se, but they are not a bad team. So the group in which Italy is in is really tough. This is what this kind of statistics proves it. But the weakness is that attacking prowess. They need to find someone to score the goals. Çalhanoğlu and Unda coming back, Yilmaz, Yazici. They might be expecting some goals from these front men. They also have some backups like Kenan Karaman who can play. Let me get to the squad. You see, Kenan Karaman is a centre forward. He plays in the second division of Bundesliga. Düsseldorf, Fortuna Düsseldorf. He was playing in the first division last season as well. there's a backup option from him, and there are a few other backup options they might have is like the attacking option Abdul Qadir Omir as well. So apart from that, they don't have a lot of attacking options, and they would really want you know Yazici, who has been in really form for Lille, and Yilmaz to contribute in goals. I mean, the challenge would be to get done with the experimenting because past few matches, the Turkey has just been experimenting what is the best lineup. Now it is a time to play the best 11 and get going which system to play. And as well as they're in a relatively tough group. But I won't be surprised if Turkey qualify from Group A. But I won't put anything past them because that's one of the tough groups, and the teams that finish third or fourth in this group might not qualify to the round of 16. Do you have anything to add? I mean, you
No,
certainly
I
might
think
know defenders in this team.
yeah, that's what when I see the team actually, that's what it's spoiled for choice at the back, but not much in the front. So yeah, and what you told us chat about 3 goals in the qualifiers, I think this group is going to have a very defensive lineup. It's Switzerland, Italy, Turkey. I think we're going to see a very, very, I would say, a very low scoring group, maybe possibly. But it's a very tight group. Anyone can win. I think it's a very open group. Interesting group.
Sure, if there is any questions about Group A or Turkey, we can take forward. Otherwise, we are moving towards the Group B. There are no questions yet, but I think we are lagging behind by a minute or so. So it can happen that we can get a question in another 1 or 2 minutes. We'll still come back, but we are moving forward with Group B. But if there's anything left to discuss about any teams in Group A, we will come back. But an overall view about Group A and the tournament, we will be doing that in the end as well. So that we are keeping for the end. Right now, we are proceeding to Group B, where we have Denmark, Finland, Belgium, and Russia. And I stop the talking and I give it to Rohit for now.
Yes, Ishak, thanks. So let's start off with the world number one team by FIFA rankings at least. So Belgium. So let's go with Belgium. So Belgium, spoiled for choice. They have a very, I would say, they have a world-class goalkeeper in Courtois. Go with it, they will generally, have a lot of options. The one of the weak points which will go when we go to a team is that they do have some shortage in the defense area because most of the defenders are aging. So they do have Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Vermaelen. I don't even know Vermaelen will play these days, but yeah, Vertonghen, Alderweireld. But these are players past 30. So, and Company recently retired. So that means their defense is now in the aging area. And what I understand, even from the wing backs, Munier has not been in the best of forms recently. So they do have some concern at the back, but going forward, they have enough and more choices. If I go through these names, all of them, I have the right to start. Every one of them will say they want to start for the team. That's Thielmans has been progressing really well. And if you're following Premier League, you will know what growth he's having in Leicester City. Carrasco has been wonderful. He's in, yes, his age, he's growing, but he's again a very good option to have. But whoever you have, both the Hazards, Eden Hazard, people say that he has been injury prone and maybe not the best person to start off with. But Eden Hazard is a cult figure for Belgium. So if he is fit enough, I don't see him not starting. So that I would be, and his brother Torgan Hazard, another very good option to have. But whoever is there, the main player, the linchpin of Belgium is going to be Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is their main player. So the entire Belgium team would be around Kevin De Bruyne. So we will see what he can do. He had a wonderful season, for Manchester City. They played the Champions League final, won the league. So I think he's coming in a good form. And his partner in crime, the forward striker Romelu Lukaku, he also had a wonderful season for Inter Milan and won them the title in Italy. So these are the main players for Belgium. But I think I can keep going about the various players in the team. But let's go to the summary of the synthesis of the team. So yes, so Belgium, just a quick overview. As I mentioned when I started off, they are the FIFA ranking #1. So that just shows how good they have been, how consistent they have been under their manager Roberto Martinez. Uh, they did miss out on the World Cup. I think 2018 World Cup team for me personally was actually maybe a slightly better team than the current team here. And it was unfortunate that they had to face France in semi-finals, and only one of them can eventually be the winner. And I always think, even now, because I supported Belgium through the 2018, I felt that if they could get over France, they would have won the World Cup. That team was so good. And the team now, since then, yes, there are some shortcomings because company did retire. Hazard's form has been on the fall, but overall they still have a very good team. And in the qualifiers, there's one stat which I put there. In qualifiers, Belgium scored more goals than any other nation. They scored 40 goals and conceded 3 goals. So that just shows how good a qualifiers they had and how well they have been doing. So they're still the very best team they are. Maybe, as I mentioned, maybe not 2018 level, but still one of the best in the world. Now, coming to the team and formation, I expect them to go with a 3-4-3 formation. So this is the team I'm expecting them to put forward. But again, as I told earlier, they are spoiled for choices. There are multiple options they can throw in there for each of the positions. But for me, I think, as I did touch upon while I was showing the squad, the main attack is going to flow through Kevin De Bruyne. The defensive area, now what is interesting here is Witsel has been injured for some time. So, Witsel is not there. So that means Tielemans will have to play that midfield option, or the midfield, or even not exactly number 6, the two number 8s playing in De Bruyne and Tielemans. But Tielemans might have to do the defensive role of the two. And that might be a bit of a challenge because this is a very forward thinking team. So having Tielemans, who is also a forward minded player, to play a defensive role would be a bit of a challenge. So that is where I think they will have a bit of a challenge going there. Their defense, as I mentioned, is an aging defense. So with Tielemans playing in front of them, I think that is their weakness. Going forward, they have enough more options. De Bruyne, Lukaku, if Hazard starts, then Hazard and Mertens can create more options than, or throw in any forward lineup in the European teams. I think this is equivalent or better than most of it. So I think they have enough options. Uh, I have given a bit of weaknesses because there are enough strengths to talk about. I don't want to talk about the strengths. Um, I want to touch about the weaknesses here. And before I go to weaknesses, style of play. I've mentioned a style of play here, which is what I explained a bit, is that Roberto Martinez has gone with the 4-3-3 formation. But just give me a second. My screen has just lagged a bit. Okay, yeah, sorry. 4-3-3 formation he started off with, but then he moved on to the 3-4-3 formation. And since then, as we saw the results for qualifiers, they have been extremely successful. So I don't see a reason why they need to change. Uh, but let's see, how they will be reacting once they feel that their backline is under pressure. As I mentioned upon the weakness, the biggest weakness is their backline. So that is what we will need to really see. And one thing, yes, they did perform well in the qualifiers, but playing in the big tournament, playing against bigger teams, how they will react, how the backline will react, how the backline will be marshaled, is what will need to be seen, and what will define this Belgium squad or Belgium team, because they have the potential to go and win the trophy. That is very obvious. And what will determine, or the main biggest weakness for them, would be that backline. And that is also the challenge, because I did mention upon Axel Witsel injury. Now, Witsel's injury, what I'm hearing is that he might not even start the start the Euro. If that is the situation, then they have big problems, because there are other options. That when I say other options at number 6, because in my squad I did not put Dendenoker, but other options are Dendenoker from Wolves, and Dendenoker has been, I would say, a very not had a big season at Wolves, and struggled to find a position for himself in the team. So that would be the struggle for them, that number 6 position. And the other struggle is that Eden Hazard. Eden Hazard, when in form, one of the best players in the world, but he has not shown that form in the last 1 to 2 years. So, and they do have some options, for Hazard in the left wing, but no one can come at that peak 2018 Hazard. That is their biggest challenge. So they have options there, but I don't think anyone can replace the peak Hazard. So if Hazard can play in that peak form, then why not? But otherwise, that is their his injury and form is what their other concern is. So that's pretty much about Belgium. I can keep talking about because this is a team I support in 2018 and one of the teams that's favorites for the tournament. That's a little
I
about Belgium. Vaishak, you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing as as someone who has watched Bundesliga, I would say that I would add one more weakness. I think if they are going to play Munir as a right back, that will be pretty much a weakness. Munir was supposed to be the transfer of the season for Dortmund because they got him on a free transfer, but he has been more of a liability than an asset for Dortmund. And Dortmund have been playing their 20-year-old fullback called as Mathieu More over Thomas Meunier even in the Champions League matches. And in fact, the goal that Manchester City scored against Dortmund, they lost the first match 2-1. It was a mistake from Munier. And Munier, I think, was also responsible for one of the other goals as well. So I think if Munier is starting at the fullback position, that will be a weakness, but I think they have an option. Uh, I might have think that they did select Chadley into the team. No, if they don't have Chadley, then they certainly have to play Thomas Munier as the right back. So that I think would be a weakness. Or I don't know how is Castagna, who played for Leicester City, has not played much.
To be fair, Castagna, yes, you are right. Castagna was injured for most of the season, but
Mhm.
when he did play and he did come back, now he's fit, if I'm right. And he did whenever he played, he was threatening and he did play well for Leicester City. So he's definitely an option. Manier with his, I would say, yes, experience. I think Manier might take a lead initially, but I think Castagna is a very good backup option to have. And as you said, if Munir is not informed, then Castagna can definitely fit in. And Castagna is also an attack-minded right back. So he can go forward, and I think Munir is the same. But so Katana can be an able replacement if not for Munir.
Yeah, so I think Chadley might be playing as a left back. So there is a possibility if Eden Hazard is not very fit, is not convinced, then Chadley might play the left back and Torgan Hazard might play the left winger role. That's another change. And maybe another difference that they might also think about playing Dedonker instead of Yuri Tillemans because if they want some defensive presence.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Denoker is one of the options, but I think Denoker also didn't have the best of the season. To be fair, going left back, I would actually expect Carrasco as an option there. And why not? Carrasco can be the option as the left back if and Torgan Hazard moving to left wing. That's an option. That's definitely there. But yes, they have options with them. We'll have to see how they're going to use it. And a team that's world number one has multiple options. That's very clear. But I think their stark weakness is their centre backs. I think that the aging defense is a concern. Let's see.
There's a comment about Belgium. I mean, Devadat had said that the counter attacks may hurt them if the three centre backs, and the full backs go full attacking. The counter attacks may hurt them. That's one of their weaknesses as well. Yeah, I think so. Do
Yes.
you have anything to add?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's what I mentioned about the weakness. Their centre backs are the weakness. They don't have pace. They are 30 players. They are big centre backs. They can maybe good at defending corners and staying there, but on counter attacks they can open up, and that's what when I did play Tillemans, they are vulnerable because if you play Tillemans and if you're going forward, then definitely they'll be vulnerable to those counter attacks, and their centre backs can be found out. That is their biggest weakness, and that is how well, that's what for me in simple terms, how well their defense plays will define the Belgium season or Belgium tournament. So that's the underlying factor for Belgium. Let's go forward.
Let's move forward to the next team, then Denmark.
Yes. Denmark is an interesting team. They do have some good players who you think are, I would say not world class, but very good players. So they do have some good players and some familiar names for again Premier League fans or European football fans. Kasper Schmeichel is a very good goalkeeper. Had a wonderful season. Also again for Leicester City. So he is a good option. There's also names which you would be familiar with in Christensen, Vestergaard. These are Premier League centre backs you would have been familiar with. So these are a couple of options there. There are good names. Otherwise, there's Delaney, who's a good player for Borussia Dortmund, and Højbjerg. These are good options at the defensive midfield options. but the linchpin or the main player in Denmark, or I would even think maybe Denmark's best player in the last decade or so is Christian Eriksen. You know, he is their main player, and that is where the attack is going to flow through. And that he defines. I think in Denmark, if you were to understand, their biggest challenge is going to be scoring goals, and it is going. Christian Eriksen is going to be the person who will have to create most of it. Yes, Vaishak is highlighting players like Poulsen who are good strikers to have, but I think Christian Eriksen will be the player who will define, who will actually can show how much Denmark can go forward. That is, the play will be playing around Christian Eriksen. Yes, they do have other decent players. Paulson was Vaishak mentioned. Brathwaite is another option which they have up front. They have options going forward, but I think this team maybe have a good 11 you can line up, but they will struggle. I think when I go into team discussion, we will see the style of play. Challenge will come when you look outside the 11, and also for creativity. I think a good enough team for for challenging the big teams, but creativity wise, I think there are shortcomings. So let's go into team version.
Let's get into the team.
So in FIFA ranking, they're ranked number 10. So that's not something which you'll expect from a team like Denmark. They are ranked number 10. And last time in the Euros, they went till the quarterfinals. So so they do have some credential and they have some reputation. They traditionally and the qualifiers, when I say they went to a 4-3-3 formation. So I did touch upon the defender Christensen. Vestergaard is an option, but Kajar, I'm not very familiar with him, but he's the main centre back for Denmark in their lineup. So they have a decent team. The first 11 is a good team because we touched upon certain players such as Højbjerg, Eriksen, Delaney. So Højbjerg and Delaney should play more of like a semi-defensive mid, or maybe Delaney might still play as 8 possible, and Højbjerg playing that number 6 role. But they are flexible. But creativity is where they will lack, and goals is where their struggle will be. Because this team, Paulsen, I think Vaishak will be able to add up more. I think Paulsen had a decent outing. Vaishak, did he have? What do you think? How was Paulsen's season? I did not follow it closely,
Paulson
but
Paulson can't be your main striker. Paulson is your striker who will create chances. Paulson is like your human son who will act with the striker, who can win the balls, who can create those attacks and options. So Paulson will be very good if you have another striker with you who can finish the things and who's the actual pin. So it would be actually upon Casper Dolberg to take that role, or Brathwaite to take that role, the guy who's the main striker. But Poulsen is very good to win the headers. You play the long balls. He can trouble the defenders a lot.
okay. Yeah, so I think then it means Dolberg or Braithwaite. I think when I was looking at the stats for the goals scored, so there was a good stat which said that Eriksen has scored the most goals also for Denmark. So that's 36 goals they scored. The second best is Braithwaite. So that just shows Eriksen is your creative player. Eriksen is basically the player who they will look forward for attack. So Denmark can have a good season. I think they can. They will. I mean, we will talk about it later, but I expect them to go through and qualify from this group. That's what I'm expecting for now. The style of play coming to, you can go forward, Vaishak. So from the style of play, what they have been looking at is a more defensive 4-3-3 system against strong opponents. But when you play the weaker, or when they have to create, they would switch on to the 3-4-1-2. Okay, and I think Eriksen will play the main player there. So in the one, when I say 3-4-1-2, the one there. Okay, and they did well in the Nations League campaign, and I think that is what they're going to do this season also. And coming to the weakness, their biggest weakness is that prolific frontline striker. They do not have that out and out goal scorer for them. That means for a team which is good enough, but they don't have that super attacking threat, and that is the main thing. And Vaishak did touch upon who the main striker is. I think deciding on who the main striker would be the biggest challenge. And Vaishak touched upon that Polson is not a good enough striker. Polson is more of maybe a creative striker. Brathwaite might be the striker, or even as Vaishak did touch upon that, maybe the main striker would be
Casper Dolberg was in Ajax 2 or 3 seasons back, and he was someone touted to be the next big thing, but he has not lived up to the expectation.
Dolberg. So that is where I think the struggle is going to be. So this is in short about Denmark. If you have anything to add on, Vaishak, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think the main player, as you said, Eriksson, and yeah, their defensive care, and Christensen at the defensive backline would be very strong. That would be the thing. Schmeichel, of course, a good keeper as well. So I think they have to play a bit defensive in this system, and Paulsen, to play some long balls, and Paulsen to win the aerial duel, and then to win the second ball and go attack. That would be their game plan. As of now, as a German fan, I saw Denmark last time, and Denmark they played defensive, but they did pounce upon to the chances that they got, and they drew against Germany 1-1, and Eriksson got the assist and Paulsen scored the goal. They against a big team, they want to get to that, pounce upon to the counter attack, and yeah, if Paulsen is the best striker they get, then they will struggle because, as I already mentioned, he is that he's that guy who will work with the striker. He's not effective as your main striker, and it's very good if you have a
Yes,
good striker with him as well. Yeah.
good. So that's the rest they have. So let's move forward to the next team. I think, but one good thing for Denmark, just to close up on that. One good thing for Denmark is that the group they are in is relatively not that difficult. So it should be easy for them to go through if they can score goals. That would be the challenge. Anyways, let's move forward to the next team.
Russia.
Russia. Wow. Okay. So Russian team has no big players to be fair. So I going through this thing. They were like nothing that stands out. The main player is the striker, who stands out player. So I hope I pronounce his name right. Zayuba. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah. So he is their main player in their team. Then they do also have Mario Fernandez. They call him Super Mario in Russia. So Mario Fernandez. So they are the two big players in, if you think about Russia. But otherwise, I don't think they have a very big set of names to really look into. There are names which people might be familiar from the previous World Cup, like Cheryshev or so and so, but Golovin or so. But the main players which I did touch upon is that they don't have any big standout players which are going to create something or do something wonderful in this. So they have names which are there, but I think the team's mantra is to play as a team. And their manager, if I'm right, his name is Cherek Show. I don't know how to pronounce his name. So he has been trying out various formations. So it'll be interesting on see what they finalize it on. So let's go to Russia team. Yeah, Russia. So from a pure ranking point of view, they're 38. So that just pretty much says where they are. In the last Euro, they did not even qualify for the group stage. And if I'm right, they lost all three matches and they were bottom of the group. If I'm right, that's what happened in the last qualifiers. The formation I have put in here is a 5-2-2-1, very interesting formation. But have to say that the playing style is slightly different from 5-2-2 to 5-2-2-1, because 5-2-2-1 shows that Russia is famous. I know if you follow Russia or if you have seen Russia play, if people say Italy is difficult at defending, Russia is the ultimate definition of what a bus is. They put that bus and they define a bus and they keep it there, and that is what they have been. And you can't blame them because unlike Italy or unlike the other big teams, they do not have the talent to actually play an attacking flair of football. So it's not something against the Russian team, but that's what they will do. The manager has also been tweaking, but what he has been tweaking is to either put a 4-3-1-2 or a 4-2-3-1 or a 5-2-2-1 in either way to put a bus which is extremely strong. That is what their mantra has been, and I think that is what they will do. And they will be playing pretty much on opponent's style, and that's what exactly I put style of play. They will be changing the formation. They would be playing this extremely defensive line, and depending on how the opponent plays, that is what they will be hoping on, and they'll be the team that'll be jumping on a counter attack, getting the one chance and converting. They have a good enough striker in Zayuba. And just one thing I want to touch upon Zayuba was that there has been some controversy running around because there was some. So Zayuba was considered to be their big striker and the big player in their team, and the Russian fans are behind him, and I think at one point he was even given the captaincy. But then there was a controversy that popped up, and he was left out of the team because of which and he was obviously stripped out of the captaincy. But I think we are past it because the manager has called him back to the team, and he has come back. So because he's such a big player for them, so he has come back, and I think it would be there. We have to see how he performs. And coming to the weaknesses, I think I've mentioned here. They play a very defensive lineup, but they don't have any reliable defenders. I did talk about Mario Fernandez, but he's more of a right back. But they don't have any big reliable center backs to really depend the team on. And most of the players are, I would say, 30 plus. Again, something which you have touched upon. A team which is now going through transition. But I think this Euro Cup has come too early for them. So what can happen is maybe for the next World Cup, their next generation players might take it up. But for now, I think they are too early. This Euro is too early for them. So it might be a challenging. It really depends on how well they can defend and hold the big teams. And if by luck they get a goal, they can progress. So that's what Russia is. Anything else to add on, Vaishak?
Yeah, I mean, I generally look for the keeper, Akin Fif, I think that's his name. But I I mean, he used to play for
I
CSK
want to
Moscow.
touch upon, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so his interesting part is I do not think he's there in the squad. So basically, what happened was in 2018 he was called as the what is it, God of foot of God or something. He made a penalty save against Spain, if I'm right. And Russia qualified, but Russia went to the qualified to the quarterfinals because of that penalty shootout. So that's what he was the main goalkeeper, but he retired after the World Cup from international
Oh,
football. Okay, so then, but having said that, if I'm right, the manager was trying to get him back for the Euros. So far, he has been unsuccessful. But there were rumors that he might make a late cut into the Euro squad, so that might still be possible. But I think I don't know whether you can make any changes now. So I do not think he will be playing. But again, that's my understanding of him. So I did not go much in depth about whether his chance of playing or other. But yes, he is there. He's their goalkeeper who was supposed to who was the hero of the last World Cup. Yes, you're right.
so let's get to the next team then, which is
Exactly.
Finland. I
I
don't
have
think we have
very
much to
little
talk.
to
Yeah.
I have very little to talk about Finland. Only player I want to touch upon here, about Finland is Timu Pukki. So there are two players who actually I don't think if anyone follows European football, it's will be two players who anyone would have heard about from Finland team. One is Timu Pukki because Timu Pukki played for Norwich, and he was wonderful for Premier League. He scored a lot of goals last season. He's an out and out striker for Norwich and also for Finland, and he had a wonderful season this year also. So Timo Pukki would be the main player for Finland. And the other player I want to touch upon is Lucas Hardecki. He is the only other player who is playing consistently in the top European leagues. So consistently in the last few years. So otherwise, I don't think they do have any big names to even touch upon or any players to really talk about. So let's go into let's go into the team and see what they've done.
Yeah.
Do you want add something on Lucas Hideki, Vaishak? Because you might be
He
knowing better
was
than from the European.
he was injured a bit in Bayer Leverkusen. He's error prone as well. It's not that great. If he's your one of the main players, then it says about your team.
Exactly, I agree. So yeah, Finland ranking 54, not the says a lot about the team. They did not qualify for last 2016. So just to be very clear, Finland, for Finland, this football is not their main sport. They are a winter team. Their team is, have winter sports as their main thing. So football for them is secondary. And what happened was stunning was Finland managed to qualify for Euro. I don't know since when. I think it's the first time possibly or since a long time. So when they did qualify, it was such a big event in that footballing cluster of Finland. The rest of the country, took part, and they were like, "Did we do something like ice hockey? Why are they celebrating?" It was a question that came up in the social media in Finland, that they were like, "What happened? Did we miss something there?" Because and they were not even aware that football team did that. So that tells a lot about how Finland is. And it's a small nation, and they are not aware of their football team doing so well, and they're doing so. Yes, it talks a lot about Finland team, and this I don't think there is much to talk about the Finland players because I personally I don't know about most of the players other than Timo Pukki. But talking about whatever little research I've done from the team under Marco Canevra, that is their manager name. So under him, he likes to keep things very simple, and he has favored a 4-4-2 formation, a very standard formation. And the whole idea is that play the team, play with each other, get familiar with each other, do very small things and make it difficult for the opponent. That is a simple mantra they go with. Uh, I think recently I just want to also touch about that Canavera has switched to a back five. So maybe we might see a back five, 5-3-2 as a formation. But what they did was 4-4-2 was the favorite formation for him through the qualifiers, but he recently switched to 5-3-2. So that's the formation I had shared on the screen. But I don't have much to talk about this team. And talking about strength, I just want to mention a lot of strength because that is the best thing which you can talk about a small team like this. Timo Pukki, I did talk about him. He's their main player. To be fair, Timo Pukki did wonders in Premier League when he did play. For a team which is Norwich, he did score goals against big teams. And Norwich is a lot like Finland of international stage. Norwich was last in the Premier League, and even there, Timo Pukki shown. So I expect Timo Pukki to have a good season, maybe if things pan out for him. And other things about, I just want to talk about other positives. I'm just searching on positives of Finland. I was looking at that. They have the team is very cohesive and robust. That's one thing I did say, and they punch about their level. So that's something good to see from a team which is small and good. So that's something which you expect from them. But with no big names, I really don't see them doing anything. So that's pretty much their weakness and their challenge. So that's about Finland, Aisha.
Yeah, that's it. So let's see if there is any questions about Group B that comes up. We have discussed the four teams, and yeah, we expect things to go as Belgium would top this group. That's for sure. We'll discuss about that in the end. But right now, let's move on to Group C then.
Just Vaishak, just give me a second. I'll just hold on. I'll just summon at the door.
Sure. So if there's any questions about Group B, please, you are certainly welcome. But otherwise, we are moving to Group C, which contains Netherlands, Ukraine, Austria, and North Macedonia, which is a new team into the mix right now. Over to you, Rohit.
Yes. Yes. So we're starting with the first team, Netherlands. Wow, they're the favorites of the group. So let's start with Netherlands. Let's go ahead. So Netherlands again coming to the team, they have a challenge at firstly as goalkeeper. It'll be interesting to see who their goalkeeper is going to be. Okay, Silsen is I thought what would be their main goalkeeper, but it looks like it can be Krul. So let's see, or Stecklenburg, or it can be interesting who the goalkeeper is. But the biggest miss out is going to be that they do not have Virgil van Dijk in their team. Virgil van Dijk is their biggest player, biggest centre back. That's the person who really the team, the linchpin, the captain, the guy who runs the central defense. But he has pulled out of the Euro Cup just recently. The information came that he will not be there. So that's the biggest miss. But they do have good centre backs. To be fair, Stefan De Vrij, and most importantly, Dilit has been wonderful. So these are really good centre backs they have at option, and they also have an option to have Nathan Ake if required. If they want to go three at the back, Nathan Ake is also a very good centre back to have. So there are like three good centre backs. They have good names. I'm sure Premier League players would be familiar with the names of Blind and others. So these are players who will that. But let's go to the midfield because there are other big names there. Yes, Vaishak just highlighted one name there, Frankie de Jong, central midfield. So he's a big name. Wijnaldum is another one. So these are the two big midfielders there. The third midfielder would be interesting because Klaassen would be the third option I was thinking about, but let's see whether Klaassen form has been up and down this season. So Klaassen would be it'd be an interesting pick whether who they go with in the third midfield. But yeah, De Jong and Wijnaldum can form that strong midfield pair, but they will need a third midfielder, and it'll be interesting to see who that is going to be. Going forward, so I will talk about more this when we come to the style of play. But they're going forward. They go with the formation of 4-3-3. But their friend most player, the striker, is Memphis Depay. But Depay is not that. What do you say? outright striker. He's more what you call a false nine. Even and he's someone who is a very versatile player. He also comes back, tracks back, defense. So he's not that outright striker. So that would be the interesting part. Depay has had a good season, and I think he's rumored to go to Barcelona now. So he's making a big move of his. So this is the main players on the team. I think Luka De Jong is another player, but I don't think he has been in any good form recently. So I'm not even touching upon him. But these are players there, but they do have options in the team. Let's go into the synthesis and let's go for it.
Let me open it. Just give me a moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Austria.
Yes.
Yeah, Netherlands. Yes. So Netherlands starting off with the first thing, the FIFA ranking is 16. Now, if you're wondering why is it so low for Netherlands, please do remember that they did not even qualify for 2016 Euro Cup. They were not in a good phase in 2016. 2018, then Koeman, managed to get them back, get them into playing good football, get the team back, cohesion back, and they were rediscovering the form. So I just, as a motivation, as someone who is an Orange fan, and this is something which for you can follow forward to, because this is an interesting historical stat I came across that this team has somewhat a strong reminiscence with the 1980s because after Euro 80, Orange failed to qualify for 3 tournaments in a row before clinching silverware at Euro 88. So this might be the repeat for Netherlands in some ways, because that team, was built upon that 88 team was also built upon few big players. One of them was Koeman himself, but there were few big names at that time. And this team also has some big names. I did mention that Van Dijk is not there, but this team also has Delete, Frankie De Jong, Memphis Depay. These are big players, who can be that, who can have a wonderful tournament, and pretty much they can wrap up the tournament because tournament is a short one. So they can do that. This is what I think from a team point of view. As I mentioned, they will play with the 4-3 system. So in my team, I did have Van Dijk, but obviously Van Dijk is not playing the tournament now. So they will go with an alternative centre back. They do have enough options there. So that's not an option there. And even, at the worst case, they can even bring Nathan Ake, who's also a good enough player to have. So anyways, so they will play with the 4-3-3 formation. As I mentioned, not the traditional 4-3-3, but more like a false nine option. Depay will be the freedom to the main player, and the wingers. They will also. I think what has been happening now is that under Frank de Boer, the wingers are playing more of an inverted wing back options. They are also going back and defending. So it's a very fluid system, is what Frank de Boer claims it to be. But we have to wait and see. Now, coming to the team itself, let's go to the weakness, because there is something which I want to talk about this team, because they have good players, but in midfield, as it did mention, De Jong and Wijnaldum are the key players. But who will play with them would be good to see, because what I did read about is that Clarkson has been having a poor form, and that means they don't have a good player at that good player, and not someone anyway to play a defensive role. Even if Clarkson plays, he's not exactly a defensive midfield, so they don't have a defensive option there. So that is the biggest challenge. And the other big challenges for them is absence of Virgil van Dijk, which I did mention multiple times. And one thing is Frank de Boer. Now, this is what I want to touch upon. Yes, Orange or Netherlands have rediscovered their form, but that form was under Koeman. Okay, and Frank de Boer has done good job, but so far has not been convincing for Netherlands. And his job record, I just put there in that slide is to show that his last three jobs ended up in sacking. So, and his so far results with Netherlands also has been, I would say, more down than up. But then, maybe this is the big tournament, and maybe he is, Frank de Boer as a player has shown it. Maybe he is a player who's a manager who's going to turn up in the big tournament and inspire the players and turn it all big. He has the team with him. He has players who can do it. So we have to wait and see. But I would say Netherlands is an wait and watch option, not one of the favorites for the tournament for me. Vaishak, you want to add something up?
Yeah, I mean, Netherlands was beaten by Turkey 4-2 just a couple of months ago in March. Yilmaz scoring a hat trick and Çalhanoğlu scoring one more goal. Klaassen and Luke de Jong getting scoring for Netherlands. So yeah, that is one of the things that the change from Ronald Koeman to Frank de Boer. That's when you understand. Ronald Koeman has been doing good with Netherlands, but that has been missing from Netherlands right now. Another thing I would like to add is Wout Weghorst is a good centre forward for Netherlands. If Luke de Jong is not fit enough to play 90 minutes, Wout Weghorst is certainly fit, and he is good enough in a system where he's been playing in Wolfsburg where they play very defensive, and he's that tall striker who will take his chances, go score the goals, win the physical duels, win the ball. So if they don't have an out and out striker, maybe Wout Weghorst, Memphis Depay, and Berghuis working with together might be an option. But the only problem is Depay also prefers to work in the right. Berghuis also prefers to work in the right. They don't. So who will work in the left would be the only question. So that is one thing that they may have to solve. But I don't know. I'm jumping too many guns. Frank Dober had not been doing a lot of basics right. So let's move on to the next team. There's been a one question, not question. I think a statement that Netherlands are underdogs, hence less pressure even in quarterfinals. So yeah, what you are expecting is that they will qualify from the group stages, and once they get to if they finish top of the group, I think the path is pretty simple towards the quarterfinals or the semifinals. So that may be one good thing for them. But let's see. Let's not jump the guns. But I concur. That Netherlands. They are under very less pressure. Let's see what they do under Frank de Boer. But I'm not sure Frank de Boer under less pressure either. Let's move to. Is there anything you want to add?
No, nothing else. I think we talked enough about Netherlands. Let's move
So
on.
Ukraine.
Okay, let's go to Ukraine. So Ukraine squad, again a team which is not a lot of players are not very known, but just a couple of again Premier League players I want to touch upon here. There are a couple of good names here. One thing is the standout player for them is Zinchenko. Yes, Vaishar has clearly highlighted Zinchenko is their main standout player. They do have a player called Malinovsky. So he's supposed to be their one of the big players there. I'm not very familiar with him, but he's a good player, centre back. So he's their these are the sorry, not centre backs, a midfield. So these are the main two players for them. But other than this, I think from Premier League point of view, you might be aware of Yarmolenko, who is also a good option. So he did not play much this season initially due to injury, and then because of Lingard coming into the team, so he did not get much option. So we have to wait and see how he is. But he's a very talented player. We have seen him play in West Ham. So for a team like Ukraine, he is a good player. Vaishak is highlighting more players, Marlows and others. Yes, it will be interesting to see how they do play. But this team, I think the most inspiring thing about this team is that this team is being managed by Andrei Shevchenko. So that is the standout thing for the team. And I think if this team does anything, the credit will be with Shevchenko. I think it's Shevchenko's team, and it's not going to be any player who's going to determine what it is. So let's go to the team. So coming to Ukraine, so the FIFA ranked 24th, which is pretty high. I did not expect Ukraine such a high ranking. To be fair, they did not qualify from group stage last time, but I have to say some things under Shevchenko. Now that's what I want to take up on that under Shevchenko point. Now Ukraine did not lose a single game on its way to Euro 2020 and finished first place in the group. So that is something that's very, very good. That is not a team which you expect to do that. And with the team, when you see the players on the squad or players in the team or in the squad, these are not players you really expect to be that high. I don't know. I'm not familiar with many of the names in the team. Vaishak, you might be. So maybe later on you can add on who those other big players are. But anyways, coming to the formation, they are going to mostly deploy a 4-3-3 formation. So that is what they have been playing under Shevchenko. At times they do switch upon to play. The style of play can become a 4-1-4-1, but this is basically their formation. Now coming to style of play, when in possession, what I've given here is that when in possession they have to and during attacking phase of play, they play the 4-3-3 formation. But when they go for defensive, that's when they go to the 4-1-4-1. But what they do is again, they put the game very simple, because Shevchenko knows that they don't have players who are very, very high caliber. So what they do is they play very small passes, ensure the triangle football, keeps the ball within themselves, and someone like, if there is someone like Yarmolenko or Melnovsky can create something, that is where their attacking threat will come in. For Premier League fans, one thing I would like to stand out, and one thing that's interested me in this team, is that we saw Zinchenko as a left back. Please be surprised to see that Zinchenko would be playing more in the midfield for Ukraine. He might even play slightly up front in the midfield. So that'd be an interesting position for Zinchenko, which we have not seen from Premier League point of view. Strength, as I mentioned here, is that strength. They have presence of players such as Malinowski, Yarmolenko, Yarmuk, who are controllers of the ball. So they are the players who the attacking structure would be built on. So they are the main focal points. Their big difference, a big concern for weakness is the centre backs. They do not have big players in centre back, so that is the biggest concern. And another thing, I put a challenge here, and I just remembered, that is the goalkeeper position. So apparently Vaishak might have better input on that. Their main goalkeeper now is not even starting for his team. I think that is in Bundesliga, if I'm right. So Bushwan, I think, is their main goalkeeper now. Maybe, possibly, I don't know who the goalkeeper is. So that would be a fight for him. And he now they do not have a number one goalkeeper, and Bushin has been the goalkeeper, but he doesn't start for his league. So that is the biggest challenge for them. So they don't have big players there in the goalkeeper point. Vaishak, you want to add
I
something on
think
this?
I think what you're talking is the main goalkeeper. What you're talking about is Piatov. He has been a
Yeah.
veteran goalkeeper, 36 years old, plays Champions League every season. But he was injured in the start of the season, and I think Trubin started for them. Trubin has been exceptionally good, so Trubin has getting more starts for Shakhtar Donetsk. But even more surprising is that Bushchan, has been also good for Dynamo Kiev. I think Dynamo Kiev has one more very young goalkeeper who impressed. Maybe he's not selected. I think so. They had a few upcoming good goalkeepers, both Dynamo Kiev and Shakhtar Donetsk. I don't know who will start. I think Trubin also impressed a lot because he's 19 years old. Yeah, he's 19 years old and he's impressed a lot during the Champions League. Yeah, he was good. One thing to add about Ukraine's recent performance, Devdutt has said that Ukraine has beaten Spain. But I just want to add, Ukraine has not only beaten Spain, they have also got a draw against France and Germany recently. So that's, I mean, when you say they have not lost again, they lost for long again under Shevchenko, yes, they have played some big teams like France, Spain, Germany, and yet not managed to lose. But I think they lost against Spain in Spain 4-0. Maybe that was not under Shevchenko, uh, since you said they have not lost yet under Shevchenko. Yeah, that's all. That's all for
Yes,
me to
I'm
add. Yeah, it's a team where most half of the players come from Shakhtar Donetsk and the other half comes from Dynamo Kiev. So there will be a lot of. It's a team game. There will be a lot of cohesion between the players.
that can be the positive. Yes. And it's a good group to be in also. It's not that difficult a group. So their biggest challenges for this group will go to that Austria. That would be their fight for the second spot if Netherlands have to qualify. So let's go to Austria. And now Austria team, just quickly go to Austria. So in this team, I just have to touch in that their biggest player, or I think the biggest player in Austrian history possibly, is David Alaba. I think Vaishak is very familiar with him, or maybe not so happy that he's leaving Bayern Munich. I think it still shows Bayern Munich. Okay, so yes, not for long, I guess, but yes. So David Alaba has been their best player in possibly history of Austria. So other than that, they do have some good players, German players. So I think Vaishak will be very familiar with these players here because they have Sabitzer, one of their better players there. So he plays for Leipzig there. Then they do have I guess this friend striker Kalasis is also a good enough striker to be there. Leimer, Vaishak is highlighting players like Leimer. Yes, so they do have some options there and most of them Bundesliga options there. So they have, I would say, good enough players. Arnautovic for Premier League players. Arnautovic is a striker. Arnautovic has not been their chosen striker for some time now, but we know what Arnautovic is capable of. So maybe he might come into play if, depending on the form of Kalajist, depending on how his form is. So that's something which we'll have to go and see how that is. And I think that is their challenge also, the goal scoring from there. Let's see. Let's go to the synthesis. If you have any other big player to mention, please do, because I know it's filled with Bundesliga players.
I mean, it's
So
the
yes,
midfield. It's the midfield that they have to select. So they I mean, interestingly, all their midfielders have long hair. So Florian Grillitsch, Xavier Schlager, and Marco Sabitzer. You will see three midfielders who have tied their hair and play. Maybe Julian Baumgartlinger as well. Yeah, get to Austria. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, Austria. So they have world ranked 23. So that's pretty much what Ukraine was fighting for. So that's a good fight there, right there in rankings. Did not progress on the group. Last win, no wins last in the last Euro. So that shows they were not that great. Last time to qualify from group stage was way back in 1982. So if they do this time, they do qualify, it will be an achievement historically for them. So that is something which they will want to fight for. And they are capable, given the group where they are in, they are capable of qualifying from their group. The key players I did mention, Alaba and Sabitzer. So these are the key players in their team. And coming to the formation, they would be deploying most probably a 4-2-3-1 formation. Now in this team, one of the interesting part is that this team is, as I mentioned, majority are Bundesliga Bundesliga players. So what that means is they play a lot like a Bundesliga style of football, a possession football, a pressing football, when I say pressing football, just to give you a stat, Vaishak, if you go down the style of play, I have mentioned something on the stat, is that yes, it's a well drilled pressing of the opposition. That's what they play on, and they have a total of 404 balls recovered in the European qualifiers, which is one of the best in the competition. But 59% possession. That just shows that they like to hold on to the ball. Now, when you see the players there, not really world class players by any extent, but to have 59% ball possession, that shows that they like to keep the ball there. That's an interesting form of football, which a team which is not having big players to play in, and that would be interesting to see, because that can trouble a lot of teams, especially if they take a lead in one of the matches. That shows that they would be a team which will be difficult to break down if they are planned to come from behind. So it will be interesting to see how Austria plays. Their biggest weakness is their attacking spark. They do lack creative spark, and that is one of the reasons where one of the biggest challenge for them would be to see where Alaba plays, because Alaba recently for Austria has played in the centre back, has played in the defensive midfield option, but the biggest challenge is getting a goal for them, and for because of this reason, even though Alaba recently prefers, or even for Austria has played in the centre back, it won't be surprising if suddenly Alaba starts playing in the midfield to just give them that spark of creating options. Sabitzer is, I would think, their best option for a creative option going forward. Um, Yes, I think center attacking mid. So going for the challenges, I think they do have some challenges. One of the main thing is that Julian, wow, his name is very difficult, but Baumgartlinger, I don't know how to pronounce it. He might not be fit for the Euros, is what I'm hearing. So if he's not fit, that would be a definitive option, because he's again a midfielder they will be looking forward to, and his fitness is important. Again, and otherwise, I did mention about scoring goals is the biggest challenge. So who the striker would be there is what we'll have to wait and see. They have some options there, but who they will be deploying as striker and who they'll get the goals from is what will depend a lot on how much Austria can perform in this season or in this tournament. So that's pretty much about Austria. Vaishak, anything to add on?
Yeah,
You
I
know
mean,
these players, I
I
think.
will I will just yeah, I will just add that I mean, I think most of the opinion from Austria is also the same, that Alaba is very important player, so he want to be there in the front. He want to be there part of whatever goal they score and everything. But left back is also a very important position, and I think the best thing for Austria to do would be to play Alaba as a left back, and play. They have really good midfielders. I think. Uh, this Schlager can come in. Schlager is a really a workhorse kind of a midfielder. Then the another midfielder that they have. Let me get to the squad. Um, uh, so let me get to this. Yeah, so here you can see Konrad Leimer is a good central midfielder that they have. Ilsanker is defensive. Florian Grilic is a defensive midfielder. So they have options in the midfield. But the thing is, they might not have so many good options in the attack. So they can play either Onisivo and Kalacis as the two forwards who work with each other, and Gregoric and Sabitzer is from attacking from wide options. That could be one of the one of the ways that they can play. Uh, and play David Alaba as the left back. That I think that should be their best position. But it's let's see what Austria does. And I said that the keeper is their coach is really criticized as well, because there is a feeling that he has not been doing good enough with the kind of players that he has got. Let's get to North Macedonia. We
Last
don't have anything. We don't have anything to say about North Macedonia. This is a squad of North Macedonia. Yeah, if you want to say anything, you can say. We're just scrolling down. We don't
so
want to
there is
insult
one
them.
player in the Premier League. Yeah, there's only one player in the Premier League I know about, and that's the only player. And I think he's the main player also, if I'm right. It's Alioski. So no, I'm talking about the wing back, the left back, Alioski. So he would be their, I think, their main player. I don't know. He takes penalties for them. That's what I did. That's that information I got during my research for fantasy Euro League. So just want to touch upon, by the way, there will be on the description. You can see the fantasy league for UEFA. So we have created. Sports Kathi has that. So I'm just giving a tip for that. When I was researching on this team on a fantasy perspective, Alioski is the main player which I could find for North Macedonia. I don't have much to talk about North Macedonia. I prepared something. So let's. It's a very and all this what I prepared is from documents, so not my inputs. So their FIFA ranking is 62. Says lot did not qualify for the 2016. Very obvious. This is the first ever major tournament they have qualified for. So just gives you a picture where they are. It was such a big event that the prime minister of the country was, talking about it. That they have qualified for the tournament. So it's like there. And I did touch upon the main players, Alioski, and the formation style of play they're talking about is 4-2-3-1 is what they did play in the Nations League. But against Netherlands. Sorry, like but versus the Netherlands, Australia, Ukraine, the Euros, the stability of the defense and the energy of midfielders. That is, again, players are not very familiar. These are the players who will be crucial, is what I understand. So, if people do know about these players and the team, please do share in the comment section. Their biggest strength is that the recent success against Germany. So, just to give you a picture, so this is something which I found out. Vaishak knows very well about it. Is that North Macedonia managed to beat Germany 2-1 in the recent World Cup qualifier, which was 3 months back. So 2-1. So that was the biggest win. And now I think that is where they will be depending on. That is what they will be thriving upon. That such a big upset they could cause against a team which is one of the best in the world. Can they bring that to Euros? Can they do at least win one match? At least create an upset. That is what North Macedonia will be looking at. But obviously, the weakness and the challenges are obvious. They don't have any experience at the big stage. They do not know if they will be whether they'll get a cold feet, whether they'll get inspired. We'll wait and watch. But yes, it's a big uphill task for them. And playing as an underdog for every match is not easy. It's easier to say that it's all underdog can do things, but playing as the underdog every match is not going to be easy, and it's an uphill task for them. So that's pretty much about this team. Ashok, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, when you are saying that this is their first major tournament and things like that, we also have to understand that North Macedonia is a new country. They was not there in the 90s or the 80s. So that country has come into existence only right now, and they are just starting, their development as a country. They were part of the old Yugoslavia, and we all know that there is. I mean, I think there's a famous stat. There is never a World Cup semi-final without Brazil, Germany, or Yugoslavia, and that's true for any World Cup you take. You name any World Cup semi-finals, there is these three teams there. So Yugoslavia is a big team, and you can see their other parts of the Yugoslavia, like Croatia or Bosnia and Herzegovina. They are not in this Euros, by the way. They are all big. Serbia, Slovenia. they all have good football teams. They all have good football players. If Yugoslavia plays as a big team, they are still capable of winning the World Cup. But North Macedonia, unfortunately, is not one of the strong points over there. And it's interesting that they have done it over the Serbians and the Bosnia Herzegovinians and gone on to make it to the Euros. So let's see what they do. They certainly have a bragging rights against their neighbors anyway.
Yes, but definitely yes. So that's about it for this group. We will discuss see who the progressing teams are. But this group is very straightforward, in my opinion. At least,
Yeah.
this group even can open an option for 3 teams to qualify, given that North Macedonia is maybe not the best team in the group. So yeah, let's go to Group D. So we are starting with.
England.
Oh, you clicked England. Ah, okay, so that's England. Okay, so that's
Or
it.
you want me to go in the you want me to go in the alphabetic order? We'll start in the alphabetic order then. Let's start with Croatia. That would be easier since you prepared the document like that.
Yes. Okay, so let's go to Croatia. So Croatia is an interesting team. They made the finals of World Cup, so that's a big achievement for Croatia. I think, and from the team point of view, the players point of view, I think the biggest players here we have to mention about here is from a Premier League start point of view. If I start from the back point of view, from the centre back, you would be aware of the option Dejan Lovren, who was a Liverpool centre back. So he's there. They do have certain options, but the biggest player for them is obviously Luka Modric. Luka Modric is now 35, 36. So I think that is where the biggest challenge is also is that him being still their main player is kind of a challenge. They do have Perisic, again, an aging player in his 30s. They have options in Rebic, who's another option in the left wing. And going forward, they have Petkovic, who might be the one who's starting. Vaishak is saying it might be Kramaric, maybe him. Let's see, one of them would be one of the starting options they have. So that is the team. The main players are, again, just to highlight, is Modric, Perisic, and maybe Rebic. So these are the big names you can highlight. But we will go into the team and we will explain what their main strengths and weaknesses are, because they are an aging team. Oh yes, Brozovic, good mention to mention. Yes, a good defensive midfielder right there.
And Kovacic as well, if I'm
So
right.
yeah, Kovacic, if he gets to play Kovacic, why not? It'll be interesting to see whether Kovacic plays or not. So coming to Group D, in this, Croatia is ranked number 14 in the world ranking, which is pretty high for a team which is having this level options of players. They made the round of 16 last Euros, but I think the standout everyone will remember is that they made the finals of World Cup. And the key player I mentioned, Luka Modric. Now there are other players. Their first 11 is a good 11, to be fair. If you go down and see the formation, the 4-2-3-1, when you see that 4-2-3-1 option, they do have some good players in their first 11, and that means if their 11 can actually hold on and play, they can challenge the big teams also. But Vishal, can you just scroll down a bit to see the 11 so that the viewers can see the 11? So yes, they do have some big names in there, and a team good enough to challenge a lot of teams, which is not big problem. Yes, the striking option might be a bit not the best option they have, but they have options and they've put solid defense in the back. So I think this team as 11 is a decent option, but that is where positives end, and that is where challenges start, because this team is an aging team. This team is an aging team, so that means they will have an issue of bringing substitutions, and that's what I put as weakness: an aging squad and lack of depth of substitutions. They don't have good substitutions. Vaishak did mention about Kovacic. Okay, Kovacic might be an option, one of the options, but really you will need Modric to play the 90 minutes every match. And that is something, a 35-year-old, you're asking too much of it. And he's coming after a season where the season already was a big season. So, for him to come and play 90 minutes every match, I do not expect that to happen. And the substitutes are not good enough. So that is the biggest weakness. Now, coming to style of play, since Dalic became the coach of Croatia, his basic idea is to go aggressive, go attacking, the 4-2-3-1 option. They have two offensive fullbacks in Shralko, if I'm right, and Barisic. So they do have some good attacking options. They transform between 4-3-3 formation, and that is the style which he deployed successfully in 2018 and also easily qualified for the Euro 2020. So I do not expect him to change this formation, and this is what he will be going with. The biggest challenge for them is that the most important players at this or the play for the strongest European clubs, as I mentioned. They do play these players like Perisic, Modric, Rebic, Kovacic. All of them play for big European clubs. Now, what that means is they're all not young players; they're old players. And what that means is they are going to be fatigued as the tournament progresses, and that is where the biggest challenge is going to be, whether they can continue, whether they can continue through the tournament with form. And that is what we'll have to wait and see. And this also might be the last big tournament for many of the players, possibly even for Modric. Maybe next World Cup we'll have to wait and see, but so maybe a last good farewell for many of the players is what they are hoping for. But I think it's they will progress, I hope, from the tournament, from the groups, but going forward will be a challenge. Let's see. So that's about Croatia. You want to add something, Vishal?
Yeah, I certainly want to add. You said that they don't have a lot of young options, but I certainly want to add Josko Guardiol, uh, now playing for Dynamo Kiev as Dynamo Zagreb as they show. But he is moving to RB Leipzig. He's a replacement for Upamecano and Konate in RB Leipzig, and he's talked about as a big player. So I mean, I won't be surprised if he starts Ebo one or I mean one of the. I mean, Lovren is a captain. You can't start him above him. I don't know how good is Vida right now. He's again very reliable centre back, but there is a real chance that Vida might be dropped and Guardiola might start as a centre back. So he's one option. Brisalico, yeah, certainly is not old. Brisalico is an option. Barisic as a fullback, their option. And at the defensive, to Modric, to give some rest to Modric, they certainly have Brozovic and Kovacic, who are all experienced, who are not that old. But Daly is slightly 32, maybe slightly older. Or Pasalic. So these four midfielders, they really have, and mind you, that they have not even picked Ivan Rakitic into this team. And for the attack, they have, as you said, Ante Rebic is not old, but Ivan Perisic is slightly old. But they have some options like Josip Bricalo, who has done good in Wolfsburg. Then you said Petkovic, who's I think should be a backup to Andre Kramaric. And Orsic is another option in the wings. So they do have backup options. I would say it would matter how how well what you say, how integrated are these youngsters into the team. I don't think there's any
Yeah, very good.
questions about Croatia. So let's move to the Czech Republic squad.
I think Czech Republic is a team again. I think they had a high in the mid 2010s when they had Peter Cech and others in the team, but I think they are past it now. This team, like, from a Premier League point of view, again, I want to touch about a couple of players which you will be very familiar about is West Ham players Kufal and Suchek. So these are their, I would say, big players. Then there is also obviously Patrick Schick. I think Vaishak was highlighting him. So these are the big players in their team, which you can talk about. They do Patrick Schick is a striker. Okay, when you go down, but I think Suchak and Kufal are the Premier League players who will look at. Yes, Patrick Schick is there. So these are the main players there. Another Premier League player, I don't know, he will start. Maybe he might come as a bench player. Who is there in the squad is Vidra. So he might, get a chance at the as a as a as a bench player at some point, maybe if they require a goal at some point. But yes, that's pretty much about the players. There is like most of the players I'm not otherwise familiar with, but I don't think they're big enough from what I read also. So I think let's go into the synthesis of the team and let's go into what they are. So their FIFA ranking is 40, so it explains a lot of where they are in the team. They did only qualify for the group stage. They did not qualify from the group stage last time. That's where they were. As I mentioned, the main players are Patrick Schick and Thomas Suchek are the main players. They do have also Kufal, as I mentioned, who is a good player. To be fair, Suchek had a wonderful season. he was voted as one of the signings of the season in Premier League. So that just shows he had a wonderful season. So Kufar also had a very good season at West Ham where they overperformed. So they do have players, but otherwise, outside of them, we'll have to see what they are. They would be deploying this 4-2-3-1 formation. That's what they have been doing under Jaroslav. So let's see. That's what we'll be seeing. And what I did read about them is what I've given a style of play is that they play a very energetic, high pressing game. So that means they keep pressing. It'll be interesting to watch, I believe. So we'll have to see how they come and perform on a world scale. But at least from what I've read, it looks like they can put teams under pressure, especially teams who are not confident in their position, can be put under pressure with a high pressing game. And we know how in the recent days high pressing games has been such a benefit if you can win the ball early. So we'll see how that transpires in the real term. But their weakness is the defense. Even when I was looking at the team, they do not have any quality options. Centre back is what I do see, and the lack of first team football at Sevilla for the first choice goalkeeper Thomas Backlick. So I think that's their first choice goalkeeper, and he has not been starting for them. So they do have big different problems in the defense. Challenges for them is that the central defense, as I mentioned, is the biggest weak spot. So they don't have any reliable partner for Andre Silvsuka. I don't know him much, but yeah. So that is their reliable center back, and they don't have a partner for him. It's a big concern for them. And also Captain Borek Dukal. He has been suffering. He has recently suffered injury, Achilles injury, and he has did not play the World Cup qualifiers. I do not know a recent update whether he'll start for the team, but it again depends on how fit he is coming into this Euro qualifier. That's something we'll have to wait and see. So that is pretty much about the Czech team. Vaishal, you want to add something, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing. When you talk about Suchek, I wanted to add just one more information that Slavia Prague, had a good run in the Europa League. They faced Arsenal, they faced Leicester, they faced Rangers, and I think they were the reason that Leicester and Rangers are out of the Europa League as well. Yes, they beat Rangers and they also beat Leicester City out of the Europa League. So one thing is that they might have a lot of players coming from Slavia Prague who are actually not known players, but then they are actually on a high because of the Europa League mentions. Is this the Slavia Prague? I'm not sure about it, but I can't see any Slavia Prague players. Yeah, that's Slavia Prague. So there are only very few Slavia Prague players here. So that point does not work much. Yeah, and as you said, Vaslik, he might be a better goalkeeper than Giri Pavlenka. Pavlenka is with Werder Bremen. He got relegated, but he has been their main goalkeeper. So maybe Pavlenka can maybe preferred over Vaslik. But as you said, I agree. I mean, Czech Republic doesn't look to be a strong team, and that's I mean compared to the other teams. But certainly the Kufal, Suchek, they are capable of troubling the top teams in the group. Let's get to England then, which is
Yes, yes. I think this is basically the league which I follow. And there was actually a complaint earlier when the previous managers came in, even when Big Sam came in as manager. He's one of the biggest complaints about England has been that most of the players playing in Premier League are not English players, and that he doesn't have the quality England players in his squad, and that's been his challenge. And which is true. Only 31% players playing in Premier League were English, so which was actually a stunning fact. But now I know Southgate cannot come with his reason, because if I go to the squad, these are frontline top Premier League playing players which he has choice from, and he has such options that he was forced to drop a lot of big names. When I say Aaron Van Bissaka had a wonderful season in Manchester United, and he couldn't pick him because he had three other better right backs, and he was in a position to even drop Alexander Arnold at one point. So that just shows the options he has in the team. If I go through this team, there are wonderful options there. At Luke Shaw had a wonderful season there at left back. Mason Mount, Bellingham at Dortmund had a breakthrough season. Jordan Henderson, not this year, but previously, just 1 year back, he just led Liverpool to a historic title win. Mason Mount has been a revelation in Chelsea. Raheem Sterling, not great season, but brilliant. And I can go on and on about each and every player in this because all of them had big seasons. So this team here is a team which has big names. Now, if I just want to name out one biggest name in this is Harry Kane. There are too many good players, Phil Ford and Jack Grealish, Jadon Sancho. But the biggest name of all of the England team is Harry Kane. If you have to say world class in any position, one of the best in the world in any position, I think Harry Kane would be up there as one of the best strikers in the world now. So that is what England has now to offer from a squad point of view. So they have a very, very good squad to have. We will definitely go through the there are some shortcomings, there are weaknesses, and let's go through that when we go into the synthesis. So England currently are ranked 4 in the world. They did last year. They did only reach round of 16. So that was they lost to Iceland, if I remember right. So that is, I think, something. But having said that, they did reach the semi-finals of the World Cup, and this is what I put as a 4-3-3 formation. I can tell that this formation, this what is there, every position can be challenged other than maybe centre back. Okay, because personally, I do not think Chilwell is the best option there. Maybe Luke Shaw would be the left back option. If I look at right back, I'm thinking Southgate recently have gone to a 3-5-2 formation. So it can be a 4-3-3 or a 3-5-2 depending on the opponent. So for weaker opponents, he will go through a 4-3-3 option. So he'll start of the tournament because his group is easy. I think Southgate will go for a 4-3-3 option. But I think when the bigger teams come, the bigger matches come, I think he'll revert to a 3-5-2 option. And you will see Walker fitting in with the centre backs of Stones and Maguire. So that is what I'll think. And similarly, I put Henderson there in the 4-3-3 midfield. But I think Bellingham had a wonderful season there. So Bellingham would be that option over Henderson. But it's again experience versus the new talent. So let's see what they choose over for that. Coming forward, I do not have Sancho in this lineup. But it's obvious Sancho is going to start. So I would expect Sterling, having had a poor season, Foden will go to the left wing, or Sancho will go to left wing, and for Foden, Sancho, and Kane would be the three at the front. But just have to mention that Marcus Rashford will be missing out, and Rashford was one of the best young player award nominees. So this year in the Premier League. So Rashford is up there. Foden has been having wonderful last second half, but for the entire season, Rashford is wonderful. So they have options there. Now, let's go to style of play and the weakness and strength. So style of play, I think that's what I was mentioning. Since reaching the 2018 World Cup, they have gone to 3-5-2 formation, but they have altered between that 4-3-3 and 3-4-3 formation. And as I did mention, depending on the opponent, they will keep switching the options. So coming to strength, the current talent pool is arguably as deep as it ever been. If you look at England team, people might say that they had an option in Scholes and Lampard and all the others in the midfield at some point in 2004s and 5s. But I think this team, from what I've seen in the last 10, 15 years, by far the best England team to come out, especially given that the young squad they have. And what is, just to show, I just highlighted some points that in 2017, England won the under 17 and under 20 World Cup, and also under 19 Euros. So this team now has graduates from that. Then players I mentioned there, few of them, Jadon Sancho, Reece James. These are players who graduated from that under 2017 team, which did this success. So maybe people can argue that they're still young, and maybe this Euro Cup might not be the best success. Maybe 2022 World Cup might be where they really peak. But I would still say that this England team is a really strong one. Their biggest weakness is central defense and midfield. So they do not have big depth options in central midfield, central defense. So their main players are Harry Maguire and Stones. Stones had a very good season. Maguire himself had a good season. But having said that, Maguire is recently undergoing an injury and recovering from it. So we'll have to see whether he starts. I would expect him not to start in the first couple of matches, but because they don't want to risk him and they will want him for the bigger matches. But obviously, Maguire is the leader for Southgate, so I wouldn't be surprised if they put Maguire there. In the midfield, the challenge is that a defensive midfielder. They have actually one big option that's it in Declan Rice. They have Harry Winks, but I don't really think that is where you really have to look at the option that is really going down there. So Declan Rice is the only out and out defensive midfielder they have. Bellingham and Jordan Henderson can midfield option. Challenges, it will be as I told you, an option of plenty gives you a lot of headache. A good headache, but definitely a headache. So and on top of that, in 2018 when they went for the World Cup, there were not much expectation and they reached the semifinals. But English media and English fans are not easy to keep quiet. So if Southgate and England have a poor Euros, then definitely he is going to get a lot of backlash of it, because this team on paper is a wonderful team and I expect them to progress a lot. Yes, they have a tough draw once they go into the group stage, once they go into the knockouts, but I think if they have some luck with them, they can make a lot of progress. So that is about England. Vaishak, you want to add on something?
No, yeah, I just wanted to add on to the team that you made. Yeah, I mean, Declan Rice, Mason Mount, Jordan, and I think Jude Bellingham. There is a huge chance Jude Bellingham will start because there has been a lot talk about the way Bellingham played when he started, and that he is a real good workhorse compared to any other midfielder over there, and technically so gifted. And I think on the wings, Jadon Sancho will start over. Raheem Sterling, because Raheem Sterling has not been informed for Manchester City. Jadon Sancho was injured in the first half of the season, but the second half of the season he has come back really, really strong. Apart from that, yeah, I don't have a lot of things to say about England. And just going through the comments, one of the comments was that with such a weak midfield, what will Harry Kane do? Uh, I mean, I do give some points to that. Yes, it would be tough for Harry Kane to do everything, just the way he does in Tottenham Spurs. If the midfield contribution is not great, uh, but I feel it's just a matter of the defensive midfield. It's how they place, how the defense plays. Uh, is slightly weaker in the defensive midfield and slightly weaker in the centre back. Just put some weightage on England on how to play. But apart from that, there are not many weaknesses for England. It's all a matter of the tactics that they use and the cohesion of the players.
Yes, and I have to mention one thing. People saying Harry Kane. I do not think this team lacks creativity. If Harry Kane, this team is much better than Spurs team, to be fair. So Harry Kane will get a lot more options than what he got in Spurs. Mason Mount is a very, very good player. One of the best players this season in Premier League. He, along with Sancho, with Foden, and the options of Rashford coming from bench, this team they can create a lot of options for Harry Kane. So Harry Kane shouldn't be dearth of options. And I think Baishak mentioned Bellingham. He's another player who is again very talented, creative, and can give options to Harry Kane. So I would expect Harry Kane to have his chances. Uh, the real challenge would come in the defense. Really, to be fair, going forward, whether they can defend is where the issue will come with Southgate, and that is where the issue might come. Is that because of that situation, whether Southgate will go for a 5-3-2 options and will bench up that will beef up their defense, and then maybe Kane can struggle a bit to score goals in the bigger matches. But otherwise, if they play free flowing football, they have creative players to create. I think one other question that came in was who will be Alexander Arnold's replacement. So they have a lot of right back options. So I did mention now if you're asking who will be Alexander Arnold replacement to the squad, that would be an interesting option, because I wouldn't expect them to just bring in a right back, because I wouldn't expect them to bring in directly Aaron Van Bissaka into the team. But I would actually think, if they have an option, them to come with an option to bring in someone into the midfield. That's what I would think of, because I don't think they're required to have an right back. Maybe someone like even centre back on to bring in his option. We'll have to wait and see who that is. But if you're looking at right back option, I think Vaishak was just highlighting. If you want to go attacking, then Kieran Trippier, very good option from Atletico Madrid, Manchester United target now. So very good option. Reece James, one of the players I mentioned who graduated from the under 17 or the 2017 squad. a very good option for going forward. Kyle Walker, he can play both as centre back and as a right back, a high pacey, winger, a high pacey wing back, if you want to ask an option. So they have enough options to right back. I think Alexander Arnold will be missed from a position of, giving those crosses. His quality of crosses, yes, none of them can possibly give, but these are not players who know that far behind, and they all give a better defensive outlet than what Arnold can give. So I don't think he'll be missed much from a point of right back option. But who they will replace him from in the squad, that will be interesting. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
And
I just wanted to say, I mean, there was also another thing which I think we discussed in WhatsApp as well. That when they can also play a three-man backline with Kyle Walker as one of the centre backs, and they can play Kieran Trippier as a right wing back, Luke Shaw as the left wing back in that 5-3-2 kind of a formation. But who will be up front with Harry Kane if
I
it's a
think
5-3-2? It will be Rashford.
I don't think I don't think they'll play 3-5-2. I think they would rather play 5-3-2. I think they will play 5-4-1.
Mhm,
Or otherwise, if they're going 5-3-2, then it's going to be Kane and Rashford,
mhm,
because they have the option of Calvert-Lewin, but Calvert-Lewin is very similar to Harry Kane. So
mhm.
I don't think they both are like the front line. I mean, Harry Kane can do a lot more than just being an outright striker, but Calvert-Lewin is similar to Harry Kane. So Rashford would give you that option of being a second striker. So if they go for 5-3-2, then it will be them. But I would expect them to play, if they're playing, it will be more of a 3-4-3 than a 3-5-2, I would think. But let's
Yeah.
see. So that's about
Fo-
England, I think.
Foden and Sancho with Harry Kane. You mean 3-4-3? Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get to Scotland then.
Yes, England's big rival, Scotland. So Scotland, to be fair, what's the most interesting thing about Scotland? They have one of the two best left backs in the Premier League. Okay, maybe people say Luke Shaw and Chilwell, but I would say the best left back for sure in Premier League is in Scotland, and they also have another good left back in Kieran Tierney. So Andrew Robertson and Kieran Tierney, two left backs. How will Steve Clarke deploy them in the Scotland squad? That will be an interesting thing to see. So far, he has been successful in doing that. So they are the two big players for Scotland. If a Premier League names, you would be familiar with McTominay. So Manchester United midfielder McTominay plays for them. Aston Villa player McGinn plays for them, and there's also McGregor, who O'Donnell. So these are players. O'Donnell, I know I didn't have the best of the seasons this year, but McGregor and others who are good enough players who plays for Scotland. Another player I want to touch upon is that a player I think has not been in the Scotland team for some time, but has had a good season, who Vaishak is highlighting, is Che Adams. I wouldn't be surprised if Che Adams start as a striker. I know he has not been in the Scotland main team for some time, but he recently has been showing good form for Southampton and also for in the recent matches for Scotland. So maybe we might start seeing him, in the team. But we'll have to wait and see how they plan up, how Steve Clarke's plan is. So let's go into the team. And yeah, now that we have Premier League players, I just want to touch upon, there are players like Armstrong, Billy Gilmore. These are midfielders which I'm sure Premier League fans are well familiar about. So I just want to touch upon them. There are options there. So let's go into the team anyways. So they are ranked 44. So that just shows that they are not the best team in the league, best team in the group. They did not qualify for 2016 Euros, and the first major final since 1998 World Cup. So they have not been doing anything that really big for some time. The key players I've mentioned is Kieran Tierney and Andy Robertson. I think that is the interesting thing. Now, what Steve Clarke has been doing is that. So that's what I've explained the style of play. The formation is 3-4-1-2. What they look into is that they play 3-4-1-2 is because to give Tierney and Robertson each of them individual positions. That's the key part of this formation, and they have been doing it successfully. Okay, so credits to him. And let's go into the style of play, and I will explain what they do there. So in this formation, what they do is Tierney plays, Robertson plays as more of a wing back or a winger option, an advanced position. And Clarke also uses the same. Steve Clarke also uses the same template during his club season in Kilmarnock. Okay, so that is one of the things which he did. In his style of football, from what I've read so far, I've not watched Scotland much, is that it's again that, you know, please don't break us down. We will not let you break down. We will play a hard defensive line, five at the back, and he even deploys McTominay at the centre back position. So just to give you a picture of what he does there in the team. Now, recently for Scotland, McTominay has been coming to play in the midfield, but most of the Euro qualifiers, McTominay was in the centre back option. So don't be surprised for Manchester United fans that if you see McTominay as centre back. Okay. Uh, Strength, Scotland is blessed with a midfield talent. McTominay at centre back. That's one of the reasons, is that because they do have the options of McGregor, McGinn, Billy Gilmore, Armstrong, all these options in the midfield. So they have so many options in midfield. None of them world class, none of them very good, but good enough to players who can cause problems. Weakness, as I mentioned, they don't have good strikers. Now, I am just mentioning this is not something which can come in. Che Adams has had a wonderful season so far for Southampton, so he can be a solution. They have deployed Forrest as the right midfield, and I think they can tweak a bit of formation to get Che Adams as maybe a striker there. I think it can be a very good option with Forrest and Che Adams maybe playing a two striker forward. So this might be something which they'll be looking into. Um, Coming to the challenges, there was a joke which I read while reading about Scotland, is that after so many years they're qualifying for a Euro, and even then they will get to play at Wembley and they will not be the host. I mean, they'll get to host the tournament and they will not be the major host, which is a sad part. Which will be something which they can make fun of. England will definitely taunt, but I think Scotland will consider Scotland. For Scotland, the biggest match, obviously, of the group is going to be England. But if I am a Scotland, practically, if you're looking at Scotland, what they should be doing is that they shouldn't consider England as a match. They should be considering of getting points from the other two teams, which they are well capable of. This team can get points from Czech and Croatia. They can get points. They can create an upset there. I do not think England is the team they are going to beat this tournament. I think the team they are going to really trouble is Croatia and Czech. And if they can get over England, I think that would be the highlight of the tournament for Scott, no matter what the other results are. So let's see how they do this tournament. But that's pretty much about Scotland. Vaishak, you want to add something? Please go ahead.
No, I don't think I want to add anything to that. Yeah. Is there any questions?
Okay,
I
so
don't
that's pretty
think
much
there
done.
aren't any questions. Yeah, so let's get to Group E then, which which is Spain, Sweden, Poland, and Slovakia. Um, let's get to the squad, the Spain squad. So the Spanish squad, I think they have Simeon and David De Gea. Simeon has been in good form and has been starting for Spain recently. So that's one of the positions which will be slightly discussed if David De Gea is kept on bench. And I think Manchester United has also started keeping David De Gea on the bench for Dean Henderson. So it's not a it's not a big talking point if David De Gea is kept on the bench, but that will be there. And of course, the big talking point is Sergio Ramos is dropped from the squad. But they have got Emerick Laporte from Manchester City. He was a French passport till now, but he has now qualified to play for Spain as well, and he's going to start playing for Spain. Pau Torres is another big centre back. Manchester United fans have been talking a lot about in the transfer market about buying him. So those are some good players, and of course Spain is blessed with midfield. Sergio Busquets, veteran, still doing good, and of course they talk about Marcus Llorente. Slightly might be playing in the right back role. Fabian Ruiz, Thiago, Koke, upcoming Pedri, 18-year-old, supposed to be the next Iniesta. Dani Olmo, really doing good in Leipzig. And on the attack, they have a slightly less clinical Alvaro Morata, but nevertheless, they do have a striker per se. Ferran Torres, Oyarzabal, and Sarabia adds up to the mix of wingers, as well as Adama Traore, slightly more robust, physical kind of a winger. getting to an overview of the Spanish team, um, I would say I would predict this as the lineup 4-3-3. I'm again trying to guess. I don't know here, but Unai Simeon might start. Marcus Llorente has been starting as a right back. Pau Torres Laporte will be the centre back pair. Idrisse Gaya will start above, the other left back option that they have. Um, I'm not able to remember the name. Jordi Alba. Gaia will start about Jordi Alba. As well as Aspilicueta might not start as a right back. It will be Marcus Llorente who has been used as a right back because of his options in his creative abilities, as well as is a good presence in the defense as well. To complement Busquets. Uh, I think Fabian Ruiz and Thiago will be their options in the midfield, but they have plenty of options there. Yeah, I won't be surprised if Pedri plays. Alvaro Morata would be up front. Dani Olmo has been playing as a left winger, and Ferran Torres has been playing as a right winger till now. In the last Euros, they reached till the round of 16, losing dramatically to Italy. Was one of the very, very defensive matches where both the teams did not know how to score the goals, and I think Italy scored in the end through a lucky goal, and then in the end, one of the I think through a set piece, and then they scored one in the counter in the end. But we have to remember Spain has been the champions of in 2008 and 2012, so they are slightly going through a reboot phase, and they're coming back with their youngsters. How to get out of their tiki-taka style, which stagnated a bit in the mid 2010s. So their new coach is Luis Enrique, who has done the same work in Barcelona, because Barcelona was stagnating a bit with the tiki taka style, and Luis Enrique came with is a bit more of the same position tiki taka, but a bit more direct tiki taka and a modern style, a bit more dynamic game. So he's doing the same thing with Spain. Uh, he's slightly transitioning Spain to that modern style of football. And he also deploys false nine. Alvaro Morata does not is not a typical false nine, but acts like one when he plays for Spain. And they do have option with Oyarzabal and others to play that kind of a role as well. No, one of the challenges for Spain, I think, would be should David De Gea start, or should Morata play up front, or should Marcus Llorente, should they stick with Marcus Llorente as a right back ahead of Aspilicueta? Aspilicueta really won the Champions League with Chelsea, but he has been playing in a backline three system, and it's a completely different system compared to Spain. And Marcus Llorente has been a completely different player for Atletico as well. I would rather argue Marcus Llorente is one of the most important players that Spain has. So when I said the three important players, I said Sergio Busquets, Marcus Llorente, and Thiago. So uh, it's really something that Spain really has to wonder about, whether they should keep Aspilicueta as such an experienced person on the bench. But as of now, I think Marcus Llorente will start. Anything to add, Rohit? I think this is your favorite team, isn't it?
Not exactly for this year, but yeah. Anyways, I just want to mention a couple of players. I mean, there are too many options again. Rodri can start. Who knows? But I want to just mention there's one player I was actually reading when I was reading on screens. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is Oyarzabal. I know you have started. I think you went for. I don't know, who did you go for left wing?
I went for Dani Olmo, but Oyarzabal also can be an option on the left, as well as Oyarzabal can be also be that false nine ahead of Alvaro Morata.
Possible, yeah. That's one weakness for me. I think Morata. I don't know. I don't know how he has been doing now, because for me, at least from whatever I followed, whenever I followed him, he has always been that what do you say, overrated as striker who doesn't give you all the returns. I don't know whether he has had recently some good success, but I don't remember anyone talking about it. So I don't think so. That's the biggest weakness for me. I think for them, they don't have a solid center forward with Morata. So maybe that would be their weak point. But yes, okay, let's look into
So
what Morata has done.
Morata this season, he has scored decent number of goals, but not good enough to be a Spanish striker. That's a per se. Like, yes, he has scored 11 goals in Serie A, 10 assists, which is not bad. When you are not the main, you're not the main man. Ronaldo is the main man. And he has scored 6 goals in Champions League with 1 assist. So in the Champions League, he has performed top as well.
Not bad. Not bad. It's not a bad numbers, but yeah, again, not something you would like to have a frontline striker. But
On the
one
other,
thing I want to say again, Premier League.
yeah, yeah,
Go ahead.
you go ahead. You go ahead. I mean, I'm opening the link. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Another thing is Ferran Torres. I know he did not start uh, initially for Manchester City, but the last 3-4 months when he did start getting chances, he has been wonderful for City. So I think he maybe these what you said, Oyarzabal and also Olmo also scored goals. So I think these are the players maybe who will take it over for the goal scoring, and maybe Morata might start getting benched. I don't know. Right, this because they're playing
I
on the day.
no,
Let's be outright straight up front one.
I think Morata will start because yeah, you don't see goals from other
Okay.
positions as much as this year. Like, I mean, even Oyarzabal has scored only 11 goals and 8 assists. Yes, he has done that in Real Sociedad and not being the main man there either. But still, I don't think they do have that many options who can finish. Morata can have his bad days, but on his day, he's certainly good. I mean, scoring 6 goals in Champions League certainly proves it. He has not lost it. And Olmo has been
There
a
are a lot of
presence.
comments on
Olmo has got
the
10 assists. Yeah,
okay. There are a lot of
Oyarzabal was
comments
not
on
good in
the
the
weather.
friendlies. Oyarzabal was not good in the friendlies, is what they're saying. Yeah. So Morata, as much as you criticize him, he has been good for Juventus this season as that second person. I mean, if you're saying Morata is the main player, then you have a problem with it, and that is why I think the midfield will be important. So they might have to play Pedri over there because they would want some contribution from the midfield to get the goals as well. So that is why I think Rodri would miss out. Sergio Busquets is the captain. Busquets will start. Marcus Llorente will play as a right back, and then it would be that Thiago, Fabian Ruiz, or maybe Pedri playing in the midfield, or maybe even Olmo might play the midfield, and they might have Ferran Torres, Alvaro Morata, and uh, maybe even Gerard Moreno might play as a centre forward. Is also a good shout. He played for Villarreal,
He had a wonderful
and
season.
he had a fantastic season as well. But that's just that's the international 5 goals. But let's look for him in the La Liga. He had 23 goals, so that's another option for them.
Okay. Let's
So questions from
move on.
Nacho deserves selection. That's Devdutt's saying, and I know Devdutt is a Barcelona fan, but I think he will be happy to have a brag about no Real Madrid players. Uh, so yeah, no clinicality for Spain. That's something which you would say because they have Alvaro Morata starting, who is not clinical and who has his bad days. That's one problem with Alvaro Morata is just he's not consistent. When he's bad, he keeps missing, and but on certain days, on his days, he's good as. I mean, he's one of the good strikers as well. Let's move on to Poland, where they have everything apart from Spain. So they have the good striker. They have the best striker. In fact, the best player in the world right now. I mean, people might argue it's Messi, but it's really debatable who's the best player right now. So that's Robert Lewandowski, who's the captain. And maybe there are a few players that people might be familiar with is Szczesny, who's the keeper for Juventus, and Kamil Klik. People might have heard his name as well, but I think he has become pretty old right now. May not even start. It's doubtful, and I mean, like Matthias Klisch, people might have heard from Leeds United, and I don't think there is many other players which you might have heard. Maybe if you might have heard Adris Milik, who plays for Marseille, who used to play for Napoli, as well as Piatek, I think is not selected into the squad finally. So there are not many players we can name. Let's get on to the kind of game that they play, an overview of their squad. So my probable lineup would be Milik and Lewandowski starting up front in a 5-3-2 position. Bednarek, Kamil Glik, and Piatowski at the back. Kirchoviak, Zielinski, and Klish as a midfield, and fullbacks as Rybus and Bereshitsky. Now, they were quarterfinalists last time. They beat Switzerland in the round of 16, but I think they were beaten by Portugal. They got out both times in the penalties. So they did give a fight to Portugal. They did give a fight to Switzerland. Switzerland did give a fight to Poland. I would say the other way. Thanks to a brilliant goal from Shaqiri, I still remember. And historically, they have finished third in 1974 and 1982 World Cup. That's something that they can remember as the best part of their footballing history. Right now, they are coached by Pablo Sousa, who I think really prefers to have a very good defensive organized team, and their main objective of playing football is to deliver the ball to their target man Robert Lewandowski. And one thing is that they uses a lot of tactical substitution or formation changes. So even if I say they start with a 3-5-2, they will go for a 4-4-2, they will go for a 4-3-2-1, and 4-2-3-1. So depending upon the situation of the match, they are a team that has actually actually is specializing on making this formation changes and playing different formations. So they have a lot of versatile players. And their main weakness is that they lack quality apart from Lewandowski. I mean, Lewandowski is one of the best players in the world. You can't have any player near his quality. But they also have been lacking players. Last time they had someone like Piszczek. They had, I think Kuba was old by the time, but certainly they had the presence of Jakub Blaszczykowski, whom I mentioned as Kuba. Yeah, they right now I think they have been missing those kind of players. Those they don't have that many good players apart from Lewandowski. Uh, and I think their main challenge would be to select the right formation, which is the right formation for the right moment. But yeah, I think Poland is one of the teams that can make inroads if Lewandowski is in form and they can score the goals. Um, that group, is very interesting. I mean, I'll get on to the next team after that. But do you want to add anything, Rohit, or is there any questions that has come? No, there is no question as has
So
come.
far I don't see.
Yeah, because Poland is pretty straightforward. It's a Lewandowski team, isn't it? You want to add anything?
No, nothing. I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, then let's get to Sweden, which is a slightly a bit more complicated than Poland. But Sweden certainly can trouble Poland, and Sweden and Poland will be, fighting for that second spot behind Spain. They have Robin Olsen, you might have known, is played for Roma, is played for Everton, was the goalkeeper during the last World Cup for Sweden as well. Sweden did go along. Victor Lindelof, Manchester United fans might be able to remember. And then they also have Emil Forsberg, who has been spoken a lot in the transfer window. He plays for Leipzig. Had a slight decline in his career in the last couple of years, but coming back this year. Kulusevski is the main player. He plays for Juventus and has impressed for Juventus hugely. Alexander Isak has been in the book of Dortmund for a pretty while, where he's gone on loan for Real Sociedad and has become their player and is slightly starting to live up to his expectations. He's just still 21, yeah, so he was talked a lot when he was 17, and it's quite natural that at 17 you may not reach what people expect you to be. But Alexander Isaac is slowly, I mean, in a way, is reaching that particular end. Robin Quaison plays for Mainz. Is pretty prolific as well. So that would be some of the interesting shouts that they have. And Sweden is, uh, you know, any Nordic team will is has a lot of tall players, but that's something which Sweden actually relies on very tall forwards. They have Marcus Berg and Victor Claesson, and I think even Quaison is not that short. Alexander Isaac is very tall as well. So they might be playing in Marcus Berg might be pretty old to start for them. So I have started with Quaison and Isaac at the front, Forsberg and Kulusevski as the wingers, and Swanberg is someone I've kept as a midfield. It could be Albin Ekdal, it could be Victor Klaassen. There are many options for them at the midfield. But Klaassen I think is a bit more attacking option, but he plays over this position. Larsen is the captain; he would surely start. Olsen would be the keeper. Lindelof, Janssen, the centre back. Augustinensen as a left back. It's been pretty decent for Werder Bremen in Bundesliga. And Kraft would be the right back. I think another one of their decent players. In the last tournament, they have been also in the group stage. They had to exit in the group stage. I think not winning any match because I think they were in the group with Belgium and Italy, and they just couldn't do it. They are semi-finalists in 1992. That's the highlight of their footballing history. And the main player is of course Kulusevski, and the coach Jan Henderson is a very is someone who has been known to play a very defensive kind of a game. And the style of no, Sweden is to play the long balls to the tall strikers up front, and it's slightly combined with a slightly dynamic game, but it's mostly about winning the aerial duels and winning the physical duels with the players. But one of the weaknesses is maybe apart from someone like an Emil Forsberg, they lack the real technical craft to build the attack. So they might you might see those old style 4-4-2 where you play the long ball, you win the aerial duel, and then you go and you strike and you show the mentality and you keep fighting till the end. That would be the kind of the game that Sweden would play. And their main challenges would be to get the ball to the strikers somehow. And the question would be, should Berg start? Uh, I mean, above Alexander Isaac and Quaison, who are not that well known at the international level, because Berg is still their veteran striker, very experienced, is very important at the crucial moments to score goals because Sweden might not get a lot of chances, and they have to be they have to smell it and they have to score it, and when you need that kind of moments, you obviously go for an experienced striker. So that's one of the questions which Sweden will have to answer. Anything to add, Rohit? Anything to add for Sweden?
Nothing much to add. Nothing else to add. Only thing is that Zlatan is not there. I would have loved to see him play, but yeah.
Yeah, that's one good thing. Zlatan was leading the Serie A goal score till I mean a bit before he got injured, and Cristiano Ronaldo just overtook him way ahead and went way ahead. So Zlatan could have been a good addition when they are actually thinking about Marcus Berg actually becoming old. Zlatan, who's actually 4 or 5 years older than Marcus Berg, is doesn't look that old. Interestingly, let's get to Slovakia.
Much, but yeah.
Let's get to Slovakia then. Slovakia, as you say, I mean, one name that everyone would know is Dubravka. Had a very good season last time. Has been really good for Newcastle. I mean, as a total surprise. So that's one of the names you would know. But their main player, I think, is Skriniar, who plays as a centre back for Inter Milan. And just as I said about Sweden, this is also a very physical team. Slovakia very defensive as well, and they find it very hard to score goals because you can see their attacking talent is not well known. They might have some people you might know in the defense like Lobotka or Pekarik, who is a veteran, and Skriniar, surely, and Hanko, etc. But there are not many names that anyone would know in the attack. Let me get to an overview of Slovakia. I don't think we should. I won't be spending a lot of time on Slovakia. Uh, I say they probably play a lineup of 4-1-4-1 with Hanko Pekarik as the fullback, Skriniar and Valiant. Selected Valiant as the centre back. But the that's pretty much something which I am not sure whom they will go with. But Kuchka and Hamsik are very important in the attack. Now, Hamsik is slightly old right now. This is not the same Marek Hamsik who was 4 years back. So let's see what he can do. And Haraslin and Duda would be good options at at wide, and Posenik would be the center forward. But it's they have found it pretty hard to score goals, and it's not very. I don't think they'll find it easy in a group with Spain, Sweden, and Poland. I mean, they can't. I mean, any group would be pretty tough for them as well. So historically, they have actually troubled a lot of a lot of big teams. I mean, I think in 2010, I think they troubled England or something. I remember. So that's something highlight of Slovakia is that the best thing is that they have been the underdogs, but they have been capable of troubling teams. And as you say, Slovakia is not an old team either. They formed after the Czechoslovakia, split into Czech Republic and Slovakia. So they don't have a huge history to think about either. And as I said, they're a very physical side. You know, on Slovakia could be one of the worst teams, I would say. But their ability to frustrate the big sides, can help them to make progress. So that's the one thing that there is a chance that they can make a progress in the Group E because they can actually frustrate teams like Poland and Sweden who don't who are not that great teams either. So in their group, it's a bit tight, but I would still say Poland and Sweden are still a bit miles ahead of Slovakia on paper. That is. And apart from their centre backs, their team lacks quality. And as I said, Slovakia is in a relatively tough group, and goals have been scarce for them, and that's one of the challenges that they have been facing. I think so that we can end with Group E. I don't think you have anything to add for Slovakia, do you?
I'm good at Slovakia.
Okay, so let's go to the Group F, which is the group I think really the group we had to talk a lot. Hungary, Portugal, France, and Germany. Two of the tournament favorites, and one big team who can become a favorite. That is Germany, I would say. So let's go to the French squad. um, French has abundance of options, So players like Upamecano and Ibrahima Konate went to play in the under 21 Euros. They did not even play the get selected into this squad. I think Kunde would be the happy person because of their decision to go and play the under 21 because he got selected into the squad because of them. Uh, so they have Rafael Varane, they have Kunde, they have Preston Kimpembe, Zuma. I mean, you name any player. I mean, every one of this name is well known to any football fan. All the 23 names. Maybe with the exception of Ben Yedder or something, which was not people might not have. Yes, you might have heard, but you might not have heard him along the course of the season that Yedder did something because all the other players you see, like Giroud scored a hat trick in the Champions League. Kylian Mbappe, what a game against Bayern Munich. Paul Pogba, United fans obviously will hear. So all these players, we have are the top players in the Europe right now, and we have been discussing them as all throughout the season. Uh, Let me get to an overview of the squad. Now, this is a complete prediction. I mean, one big talking point in France is that Karim Benzema is back. So Karim Benzema will be starting up front. There was a slight disciplinary issues with Karim Benzema and has been out for a pretty long. But I mean, as you said Harry Kane is one of the top strikers. Robert Lewandowski is surely the best player, is the best striker in the world right now. But you can argue that Karim Benzema, I think Karim Benzema is the second best striker in the world, or maybe debatably, maybe you might say Harry Kane is the second. But he has been performing top class for Real Madrid, where they don't have a lot of creativity options, and he has been scoring a lot of goals for Real Madrid. And At the back is pretty fixed. The four-man back line that France decides to play. They have Lucas Hernandez, they have Presnel Kimpembe, they have Rafael Varane and Benjamin Pavard, which is pretty fixed. there is a slight debate that France has to move out from Rafael Varane and come with Koundé and Upamecano and Ibrahima Konate as the next options, or even Lucas Hernandez can play as a centre back. But right now, Rafael Varane will start, and the two in the 4-2-3-1, the two pivotal midfielders are also pretty fixed. That will be Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante. And Griezmann would play as that false nine as a number 10 behind Benzema. So that thing is fixed. Mbappe will be the number 10, is also pretty fixed. So all these 10 players are pretty much fixed for France. The only doubt would be who will start at the left. And I think it would be Kingsley Coman, who prefers to play in the left wing and is a very good winger and has played and relatively had a good season with Bayern right now, might start. But they can also go with Ousmane Dembele. Some people might argue Dembele prefers the right, but I don't think so. Dembele is pretty by-footed. He can play both the wings. Dembele can play the left. Also, there is another option that the French coach have is to play Adrien Rabiot. Because that would be some kind of a Blaise Matuidi move, which is a midfielder you play, which Deschamps had tried. But I would say when you are playing two centre backs as left back and right back, Pavard has pretty much fixed as a right back, and Lucas Hernandez has also got adjusted as a left back playing for France. You are already playing a defensive setup and playing another midfielder as a winger. I don't think France need to be that cautious. Uh, they can go with one of their proper wingers to play up front. They have been the runners up last time. They are the world champions right now. They have won the Euros in 1984 and 2000s. Their coach is Didier Deschamps, who has been the World Cup winning captain in 1998 as well as in 2000. And the key players, I would say Kylian Mbappe, Karim Benzema, and Paul Pogba. Now, never mind what the Paul Pogba you see in Manchester United. Paul Pogba in France is one of the best midfielders in the world, I would say. Their style of play is that they have a well-oiled defense, combined with very pacey wingers. So they're not exactly park the best counter attack, but they like to play. They excel in that defensive attacking transition. And I mean, especially because of players like Kylian Mbappe and Kingsley Coman, Ousmane Dembele, those pacey wingers that they have. Now, one thing that they seem to, with their weakness, is they seem to lack that winning mentality at times. They just, sometimes they give away certain matches in the end. But I'm really struggling to find weakness that because I just wanted to,
Okay, let's go forward.
I think it was because 2 hours and the stream ended, maybe. Yeah, I think the stream is back now. Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's go. Get going.
Let's go. Let's share it.
25 minutes.
Let's. Okay, so that's all about France. And now let's get to Germany. Let's get to Portugal first, and then get to Germany. Yeah. So Portugal, they have pretty decent goalkeepers. They're a bit old, but they have been performing good. Anthony Lopez, Rui Silva, as well as Rui Patricio. Uh, it would be Patricio starting, but they have good backups over there. Ruben Diaz, the centre backs are good. That's one of the important players, and of course they have Cristiano Ronaldo. And you might have also heard Bernardo Silva. By the way, Andre Silva has scored more goals than Erling Haaland this season in Bundesliga. So he's also someone to talk about. And Bruno Fernandes created the most attacking options in the European top five leagues this season. By might say he was a 130 or something, and the second are in terms of hundreds by Thomas Müller and Lionel Messi, if I'm right. So Bruno Fernandes is 30% more than Messi as well as Müller, who are second and third. Uh, so those are their big players. Let me get to the Portugal team. An overview of their squad. So this is probably the best generation of Portugal what we have seen recently. Patricio is starting, Cancelo right back, Guerrero left, Fonte and Diaz, Neves, Sanchez, and Fernandes are gone for Renato Sanchez. It could be even be Basil Oliveira, or you can have Bernardo Silva playing here back and someone playing up front as well. And the front attack would be Bernardo Silva, Andre Silva, and Cristiano Ronaldo. Their coach, Fernando Santos, has really got the team going there. They are the champions in 2016. They have won the UEFA Nations League in 2019. So this is probably the best era of Portuguese football. Coming from Ronaldo losing that 2004 Euro, finals to Greece, something which we never imagined would happen at that moment of time. Uh, and that Luis Figo and Cristiano Ronaldo, that team losing. From then coming to winning that Euro, I think Cristiano Ronaldo would be very, very motivated to add another major trophy to his list after Euros and the UEFA Nations League. Their style of play is that they play a very traditional 4-3-3 position style of game, and they have really good technically gifted players. Last time they were over reliant on Cristiano in 2016. Yes, they won the final without Cristiano, Eder, the substitute playing, scoring the winning goal. But right now, Portugal is a very well-rounded team, and it's not over reliant anymore on Cristiano. But the weakness is whom will start pair with Ruben Diaz as that centre back. They have Font, Clermont Font, and Pepe. Obviously, everyone knows, but they are pretty old. And even though I say that as a weakness, looking at them this season, you have to say age is just a number. They're playing in the top. Font, he started every match for Lille, if I'm right. I played all the 90 minutes and they won the league with Lille, beating Paris Saint-Germain. So he's there at the top. Pepe took Porto to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. They beat Juventus on the way, and Pepe was a very important part in beating Juventus. In frustrating Juventus and not letting them score. 10-man Porto still trying to get outsmart Juventus. But the only problem for Portugal is that they are in a group of death. They have the tournament pressure as reigning champions. That might affect them a bit. And they are starting the match against Hungary. You might know last time Cristiano Ronaldo scored his hat trick against Hungary, the match ending up in a draw, if I'm right. Portugal 3, Hungary 3. So they don't want that to happen against Hungary right now. In this group, I mean, any of these teams who play against Hungary, all the three teams are expecting a win. Do you want to add anything about Portugal?
Just a couple of things is that obviously you did mention about the top 11. I wanted to mention there are options like Diogo Jota, Danilo. These are people sitting on the bench, and I think can even make the starting 11 depending on the formation they go with. So they have abundance of options. I think one of the clear favorites in this tournament if they were in a better group.
I say one of the problems with Diogo Jota is you can either play Diogo Jota or Andre Silva, because Diogo Jota cannot play on the right. So if you and Cristiano Ronaldo also prefers on the left, is playing on the wing. So one of the things that can happen is if Andre Silva is not in form, Silva might get dropped, and then Cristiano Ronaldo might come central, and Diogo Jota might be there at the left wing. That is another option. And of course, instead of Renato Sanchez, they have Basil Oliveira, whom they prefer to play. They also have Carvalho. They prefer to play. They have Danilo Pereira, who can play as as a defensive midfield. But I've gone with Renato Sanchez because Renato Sanchez right now, he was a young player of the tournament in Euro 2016. And he is right now was in the team of the season in Ligue 1 last season, that is 2019-20, and this time he was an important player for Lille. Getting them winning that French league. So he is important. And another player I think I forgot to mention is Rafael Guerrero. Was one of the important players for Portugal last season, but they have another left back, and his name is Nuno Mendes. He's 18 years old. He should be today is Germany Portugal under 21 Euro final. So this guy should be someone who should be playing in the under 21 finals, but he is in the main team right now because of the way he has performed this season. So I won't be surprised if Rafael Guerrero steps in into the midfield or something, and Nuno Mendes plays there over there in the left back. So that's another possibility, flexibility that they have. And of course, maybe Nuno Mendes can even be a very good backup whenever Rafael Guerrero needs a rest. Remember, uh, Nuno Mendes are up there at the top. And do you know if Ricardo Pereira is injured?
I have not heard anything. He did play for Wolves
Leicester?
throughout, so I did not hear anything about injury.
Leicester.
Leicester, sorry. I did not hear about Leicester, yes. He did play because he was injured for most of the season, but towards the end of it, he was back. I don't remember him being injured towards the end of it.
Because
So I don't remember.
I expected him to be picked over Nelson Semedo, but yeah, Nelson Semedo is in the squad over Pereira. So that's about Portugal. Now let's get to the team that I support, Germany, and I have absolutely no hope for them, but I certainly hope they win against Hungary, and that's a must. And then they also do play a good match against France and Portugal, and if possible, at least get a couple of points from them. Now, yeah, the players. I don't have to say all these players are well known. Maybe an exception of Kevin Volland, who plays for Monaco, or Jonas Hoffmann. It may not be a bit well known. Florian Neuhaus has been well talked. Liverpool has been very interested, but I think they have gone past the time. So he's staying in Borussia Mönchengladbach this season. Uh, I, I mean, you must have heard most of the players. I mean, maybe Christian Gunter, who's a left back, has played a good season with Freiburg. So that's one of the weaknesses of Germany at the fullback area. But otherwise, I think all the players are pretty well known. I will get into an overview. This is the last tournament of the coach Joachim Löw, and this Joachim Löw, who started as an assistant coach in 2006, is the longest serving manager in international football for the last 15 years. And this has been a pretty long stay for Joachim Löw, and most of the German fans are desperate to get him out of the team, and already think it's pretty late. In fact, the reaction of the German fans when Löw declared that I am resigning after the Euros was, why not right now? Why not today? And one of the reasons is Germany losing against Spain 6-0 in October, November. Germany losing against North Macedonia in the World Cup qualifying, which is their first loss in 20 years of football. And this also sparks that this is one of the low points of German football in the last 20 years. Germany had a reboot in 2000 after they really lacked in world football. Getting out of the Euro group stages in 2000 and 2004, uh, and then started that 2006 era where Germany started a bit of a golden era after that. So this I think is a pretty one of those rare occasions where Germany is not a powerhouse, but on paper they have a lot of technical quality. So one difference that I see between the 2000 team and 2020 team was, in 2000 what was talked that Germany had the physicality, Germany had the mentality, the intent. They had mentally they had really strong players who will fight for the team. But they lack that technical capability. They lack the versatility. They are not were not very good at reading the games and sort of things. Lothar Matthäus being very old at that point of time as well. That is what they lacked, and then they concentrated more on improving the technical ability. Now, what Germany lacks is a street smartness, and that fighting spirit to play till the end. So it's slightly contrasting what both the teams lack. On technical ability, this team is still one of the best in the world as well in the midfield. But again, the weaknesses are in the fullbacks. So I gone for this particular lineup with Müller playing a false nine, Leroy Sané and Serge Gnabry in the wings. Manuel Neuer, of course, has to start. Matthias Ginter might play the right back. I feel Günther is a left back. Rudiger and Hummels would be the centre back there. Kimmich would be play the number six, and Kroos Gundogan would be the midfield player. Goretzka is injured, and if Goretzka comes back, that is also another option for Bayern. Um, and in the 2016 they have been in the they are the semi-finalists in the Euros. Historically, they are the champions in 1972, 1980, 1980 and 1996. That's a mistake over there. Joachim Löw is a coach right now, as I said, and I would say their important players are Kimmich, Müller, and Neuer. Right now, Müller is very crucial for them because he will be acting as that false nine. And Manuel Neuer, I have to say, he has played 99 international games. He's playing his 100th international game tomorrow. Their style of play, they try to play, a position-based game with a false nine. And one of the things is they lack a lot of defensive stability. And they haven't got a bit between, having very slow approach, very cautious, and being very ineffective in the build up to completely open to goal threatening counters, leaving a lot of spaces at the back. Uh, and their weakness is that the fullbacks lack creativity. So they don't have any conventional center forward. Yes, they have Timo Werner, but I don't think Timo Werner would be used as a backup winger behind Serge Gnabry or Leroy Sané. That would be their option. Then they have Kai Havertz, who's again another false nine. Kevin Volland is their best possible center forward, and it would be very important to see how good Kevin Volland is in this tournament. He has had a good season with Monaco. So that's something to point out. And now picking the right 11 and the right formation would be very important. Whether they want to go at four at the back, at three at the back. They have been going a lot at three at the back, and I personally don't prefer three at the back because if you want to play a three at the back, you want to have your centre backs who are good at demanding the ball, who are good at playing the ball. And apart from Max Hummels, I don't think any of these centre backs, be it Rudiger, be it Nicolas Sule, be it Matthias Ginter, they're not one of the great centre backs in the world. And the best part of Germany is the midfield. And when you play 3-4-3, you will certain the midfield actually lacks. When you have midfielders like Kimmich, Goretzka, Gundogan, Kroos, and you have Florian Neuhaus, who's a fantastic midfielder. Jamal Musiala is would be a very good option in the midfield. Is slightly more an attacking, can't play the defensive role. So that is something which I say that Germany have to figure out. And another thing is whether you want to play Kimmich as a right back or as a defensive midfielder. Uh, the modern game needs good fullbacks, and Klosterman has not been fitting the bill. Matthias Ginter is actually a centre back, but he's a very good as a right back. But I would still feel they are nowhere near Joshua Kimmich as a right back. Now, but if you play Joshua Kimmich as the right back, they don't have a very good number six. Tony Kroos is more of a number eight than a number six. Gundogan is between a number eight and a number 10. Goretzka is the best fit, but Goretzka as a number six. But Goretzka is not physically fit right now. He might not start the first game, and that's all. That's one thing that they have to worry. And they are in a group of death, and their confidence is very low. I think Karan had asked why not Werner and Kai. That is a good question. If Kai Havertz can play better than Leroy Sané in the wings, then I think Leroy Sané might start. But I don't think I have to answer why Werner. Should Werner start about Serge Gnabry and Leroy Sané? What do you think, Rohit?
Oh, no, definitely not. Given the current form, what he had this season, I think. But I think one thing I want to think is maybe Kimmich. You did mention that Kimmich and right back and having Grotzka at the center would give a bit more options. But yeah, maybe Grotzka not being fit might be the reason. So that's an option which they can look into.
I mean, the only thing that worries if Kimmich plays the right back is having a defensive midfielder because Kroos and Gundogan both gives less attention to the defensive, side of it,
No,
and Kimmich will have a
I was saying about Goretzka playing the defensive
six.
midfielder.
Mm.
Goretzka, Cruz, and Gundogan forming that. Yeah, forming
Uh,
that.
yeah, I was
So that's
talking
what I was
if
wondering. But yeah,
if
anyways,
not, yeah, if Goretzka is not there and still playing Kimmich as a right back was what I was talking about. Yeah, if Goretzka is back, he has to start as a number 6. And Emre Can is available, but only problem is Emre Can is not consistent. He's error prone, and if he makes a mistake against France at the senior position, it can lead to a huge counters as well. Karan, I'm not anti-Chelsea. I have included Antonio Rudiger above Nicolas Sule. Hungary squad. Let's get
yeah,
to the Hungary squad. So this is one of the small pins in that particular group. Peter Gulacsi, people might know, Liverpool fans might know, has played for them, has played for RB Leipzig, has played the Champions League a lot. I think their best player would be Willy Orban, is the centre back. But their best player, who should have been, is Soboslai, who's injured and is not in the squad right now. And they have Adam Solai, who's a captain, and Roland Solai, who might be playing up front for them. Uh, and I think people might have also remember Klein Heisler from the last Euros, was very good at the midfield, and Nagy was the defensive midfielder who played last time as well. Has been really good. Was a youngster at that moment of time. He's 25. I have to see how good he is, and he plays for Bristol City in the Championship. Getting to an overview of the squad. Uh, this is the lineup that I predict. It's a 3-5-2. It's the the centre back Zalai. I just forgot Attila Zalai. That's his name. Attila Zalai would play at the centre back with Willi Orban and Botka. Peter Gulaci would be the goalkeeper. Nagy would be the number 6, maybe slightly here, and Klein Heisler and Siger is slightly more attacking. Siger would be, and Klein Heisler and Siger, that would make the midfield. Nego is actually a right back. He will play that winger role. Vaga will play the left wing role, and Roland Zalai and Adam Zalai. So that's two options that they have. Adam Zalai is a bit more. He's a bit more physical kind of a striker. He's a veteran. He's more on the physical aspect, while Roland Zalai is a slightly more thin player. Is a more dynamic player, very quick and pacey, and so that's the attacking options that they have. Last time they got in the round of 16. They were in a group with Portugal, Iceland, Hungary, and Austria. Austria couldn't win any match in that group. I know Hungary were a surprising team at that time around. This time you have to see what they do. They again face Portugal, as I already said. They scored 3 goals against Portugal, and then Ronaldo had to score a hat trick to get to the draw. Marco Rossi is their coach, and I would say Willi Orban is their big keeper. Is a big player. The glory days of Hungary, you might also have heard Puskás Award. The best goal of the year. That the award for the best goal of the year is called as the Puskás Award. It is awarded to the guy who scored the best goal. Last time it was given to Heung-min Son. You might remember. So Puskás is a legend of football. Sander Cox is another legend of Hungary. So that those 1950s were the biggest were the glory days of Hungary, and that is before the Euro started. So after the Euro started, they haven't had such a good time. They're slowly coming back into the limelight. Now they play a very defensive game, and I say, being in a Group F and without their star kid Soboslai, they do not have any other alternative either. They have to play the defensive game. So they without Soboslai, they lack a lot. They lack completely in the creative qualities, and their challenges are there in a group of death. Even earning a single point from this tournament will be tough for them. But of course, they can remember that they have done it last time against Portugal. Though this Portugal is slightly different, maybe Hungary can say this Hungary is slightly different as well. We also remember that Ferencváros did make it to the Champions League this time after long. So I'm not sure if there might be a few Ferencvaros players here and there as well. Yeah, so there are a few Ferencvaros players here and there for Hungary. So maybe they can. There is a slight improvement in the quality of the players available for them right now. Let's see how Hungary does in this group. Anything to add upon? Are there
Getting a
any comments
point.
about Hungary? Yeah.
That's what I think. Getting a point this time, people will remember that for a long time. I think that would be the biggest success for them. Getting a point.
If Hungary gets a point, I mean, the talk will be more about the team that lost the point to Hungary than Hungary getting the point, isn't it?
Yeah, sure, but that is their success. Their
Yeah,
success
yeah,
would be
yeah.
that they can get a point.
I mean, the Hungary fans will surely talk about them winning the point, of course. Yeah. I just wanted to have an overview of the group stages. So one thing I wanted to see here is that the winner of the group D plays against the runner-up of group F. And the runner-up of Group D, where is the runner-up? Runner-up of Group D plays against the runner-up of Group E. So now the Group D is a D group that contains England. That is something that I wanted to stress. England, Croatia, Scotland, and the Czech Republic. If you finish second in this group, you play against the second in Group E, which could either be Sweden or Poland. It could not be Spain unless they actually bottle it. But if you finish first in this group, you play against second. That could be either France, Germany, or Portugal. I mean, it certainly is not Hungary finishing above either of these two teams. So that is something tough. So for England, it's a win-win situation. They finish first in the group. It's not a good thing, but they finish second in the group. It's not a bad news either, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's what. Now, once you go into the qualifications, I think it is a very tough choice. I think we have to move in fast. I think we can just quickly look into what the possible predictions can be,
Okay.
and we'll close it with that. So
So
we can start with Group A. What do you think?
Group A, I think Italy would do it. Switzerland would do it, but Turkey and Wales are too strong. I think they would cancel out. I don't think there is a third team coming from that Group A.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't have much to dispute there. I think Italy, and I wouldn't be so confident Switzerland will make it so easily. Maybe there's a possibility that even Turkey or Wales can make as a second team. But yeah, Italy for the first team and second team is open, I think. Going to Group B, I think Belgium and Denmark are clear favorites for me. So I think third team Russia might get 3 points because Finland might lose every game. That's the only thing in that. So that's my prediction for Group B. Uh,
Same
Going
here.
forward in Group C, I think I'll go. Yeah, Group C. I would say yeah, Netherlands will for sure go through. I think that there should be a fight between Austria and Ukraine for the second position. I'm not. I think I'm slightly tending towards Ukraine getting the second position. That's a possibility that can happen. But it's Austria might be the favorites for the teams. But yeah, I think there'll be a fight for that. Obviously, I don't think Macedonia is getting anything more than if they get a point, very good for them. So that's for me, Group C.
I think
And
I
let me know what
disagree.
you think.
I disagree over your first point. I think Ukraine might top this group. Netherlands might finish second, and Austria might finish third. And there is a chance that North Macedonia might not get any points. Yes, they won that match against Germany, but I don't think that was shambolic from Germany. I mean, Joachim Low really deserved to get out of the team at that point itself. Uh, but I don't think North Macedonia can do it against Austria. But Austria is also known to bottle it. Last time they did that. Ukraine, I think they are all there to beat Netherlands and be the number one in that group. Yeah, next group.
Interesting. That's a good prediction. For Group D, I think I'll go with England for sure are the favorites. Croatia are the second. So England and Croatia second, first and second. Maybe Scotland Republic. I don't know. I think Scotland might be third and Czech fourth. That's my prediction for the top four there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a group that is hard to predict. I mean, if there is a third team coming, I won't think that is from this group because Scotland and Czech Republic, it's very hard. Yeah, so England and Croatia should be number one and number two, and yeah, there might not be a third team because Scotland and Czech might cancel out each other, or maybe Scotland can make it beating Czech as well.
What do you think about
It would
Group
be the
E?
repeat of it would be that repeat of Rangers versus Slavia Praha because that was a similar match where nobody thought Slavia Praha playing such a good game will find trouble against us. No, Rangers playing such a good game will find trouble against Slavia Praha, but they couldn't. Yeah, Group E.
Group E, okay, my predictions would be obviously Spain, and then I think I will go for. That's a difficult one. Poland. I think Poland would be the second option. Sweden, Slovakia, third and fourth. That's my option to go first, second, third. But I don't know. Poland is too dependent on one player. I don't know how much they can pull off things. So let's see.
I think Spain will do it pretty easily in this group. It's tough for them because they are defensively they are strong. All the three they play too defensive, and Spain doesn't may not like it to play against such a defensive team. But Spain should top the group. Sweden and Poland it's very hard to predict. It will be a fight, and Slovakia. I don't think Slovakia might not get any points from this game. But Slovakia might get a draw from one of the matches, and that would be interesting. So I think the third team might come from this group because all the three teams will win against Slovakia, and I predict Poland to finish second and Sweden to finish third as well.
Group F, I'm going to make a slightly different option. I think the favorites would be to France for sure. I'll go with France, but I think Germany would finish second and Portugal will finish third. I think Hungary will get 0 points, but I'm expecting Germany to finish second. But I expect all three teams to qualify.
Yeah, I mean that is something. I'm happy if you predict that. My heart says it, but my head really says no. Germany is not doing it this time against Portugal. But let's see what Germany does against Portugal or Germany does against France. It is up to France and Portugal rather than up to Germany because I know what is the upper roof for Germany. They do have the fullback problem, and it is hard for Lowe to fix it in 10 days. Lowe has options, but 10 days is too low. So I just keep my fingers crossed that France and Portugal do bottle it and Germany finish second. And if they finish third, then the next match I think is Belgium. So that's all. I hope Hungary don't take any points. Yeah.
Yeah, I think again, eventually, if we go through this entire system, I would actually expect. I think we are going through a winner of Group B. So that's going to be. Just remind me. I have to keep checking who the winners of Group B were. I think we're going to find out how to.
So winner of Group B is Belgium.
I would say Belgium. Yeah, Belgium would play a third in Group A, D, or E, F. So that's wow. It can be anyone. So I think Belgium will progress no
If
matter whoever they faces there. So I
no,
expect Belgium to go to
Belgium
quarterfinals.
Belgium will mostly play 3F only. The only way they play 3E or 3B is if one of A or C qualify. And I don't think there is less chance of A or C qualifying is what we said, right? So in that instance, there is a huge chance that Belgium is playing against Germany or Portugal. Surely not France. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that would be then a very that would be a difficult group of 16 to predict. I would have expected Belgium to come through it. So I will just give me a quick. Let me have to see the group. So let me just see how it is panned out. So I would actually expect Belgium. If I am going by pure this thing, I would expect Belgium to go through. I would expect Belgium to go through. I would expect Portugal to go through, and Germany. That's what. If I don't know if Belgium and Portugal are going to meet in round of 16, then it's a problem. Then I will have to worry. Then I have issues of predicting. If Portugal can somehow qualify some other group, then it will be interesting. But yeah, difficult to predict. Okay,
And
I think
and
Belgium
uh,
France finals is possible.
and if Portugal is finishing second or Germany is finishing second, they are playing England in the round of 16 as well. If England finishes first in Group D as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that I would expect Germany to win. Germany beating England, I think that's a normal story that happens everywhere, every time. So I think if Germany ever gets England, I don't think Germany will have a problem. They would prefer them over Hungary.
It's that
So
matter of it's that time. I mean, where whenever India meets Pakistan in a cricket match, World Cup, India always beat. Right? So it's that one match where Pakistan will beat and things will be like that. And I'm pretty sure it also will be penalties. Like England, Germany will go to penalties and England will win the penalties. rewriting the history completely. So it's just a one match left. But let's see. Yeah, England. Yeah, if I'm more confident playing against England than playing against Belgium. To be frank, that's
So if we go that way, I think Belgium and France will meet in the semi-finals again. If I assume Belgium and
Belgium.
France will
Yeah,
meet.
Belgium will meet the winner of Group F. Yeah, Belgium will meet the winner of Group F. Yeah, France.
Yeah,
If you win the
that,
Group
that,
F,
that, that
if you win the Group F, you have a relatively easy path. If you win the Group F, then in the quarterfinals you are playing the runner-up of Group D, winner of runner-up Group D versus runner-up Group E. And D and E, it's either Poland, Sweden, or Group D. The runner-ups would
yeah,
be either Scotland or Croatia. It's pretty easy. And so
I think
there,
that is okay, but I think the semi-finals they will end up beating Belgium.
France, Belgium could be a possible semi-finals, and then the other semi-finals, as
Yes.
you predict, it could be, if Germany finished third and then
Portugal, Spain.
finish second, Germany finished second or Portugal finished second, they might reach, and then you also have the winner of Group
Spain.
C, which is Ukraine. So Ukraine have a route if they Netherlands or Ukraine if they win the Group C, they have a route towards the
No, they have
towards
Spain.
semi-final.
They will face Spain.
No, winner of Group C plays the third of Group D, E, or F. Let's say they
Ah,
play the runner-up of Group D or E, and then they play the winner of runner-up Group A versus runner-up Group B in the quarterfinals, which is either like Switzerland, and the Group B, the runner-up is going to be who does Belgium have? Belgium's group is Denmark. So if Ukraine can beat Denmark and beat someone like Poland or Sweden, they can get into the in the semi-finals. Same thing about Netherlands. Netherlands can get it in the semi-final
no,
in that stage.
no, I'm sorry, but winner of Group E
Mhm.
will go into that quarter. Spain will qualify. Spain will qualify to that leg, and Spain will play the winner of Group C in the quarters, right?
No,
Final
winner.
semis. Okay, okay.
Yes, in the semi-finals. So semi-finals, they will meet the winner of Group E or winner of Group D or the runner-up of Group F. So it could either be Portugal or it could be Germany or it could be, uh, you know, I mean, Netherlands. I don't give much of a thing or Spain. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. It's difficult to predict in simple terms. I think if you start predicting, it's difficult to predict.
yeah.
Uh,
I
okay.
mean, one thing that makes it tough is this particular range. Who finishes third will decide everything.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yes. Okay. I think
These are the sources we
pretty much
used.
it from our side.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hope is there are no comments right now. I hope everyone has gone to bed.
Uh, yes. I think all watching French Open.
Oh,
So
okay.
because there were like some good trends happening. Sisipa has qualified just for information, and Medvedev
Medvedev has.
was steaming rolling through. Medvedev has also won. So oh, wow,
Yeah.
straight set from Medvedev also. So wow, that's an interesting one. Okay, so I think that's it pretty much from us. So take care and
Let's
goodbye.
stop
And as
sharing.
usual, do comment.
Yeah. Yeah. Please let us know if there's anything that we missed. Anyone who's watching later, if there is something that we missed and you want to add on, please do. So I'll stop streaming. Let's end it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye.